Chapter 1139. The ninth princess left in the end, carrying a trace of longing and reluctance, but she also resolutely embarked on the journey. She wanted to go to the ancestral realm. Perhaps there was someone there waiting for her to return. "Let's set off too," Jiang Chun said softly, calming the emotions in his heart. Finally, the three of them piloted the Starfield sailboat and landed on a huge star. This star was called Heavenspan, and this world was also called Heavenspan World. And Heavenspan Court was here. Entering Heavenspan World, Jiang Chun stood at the bow of the ship and looked into the distance, feeling the great Tao of this world, and was rather shocked in his heart. The great Tao of this world is very clear, easy for people to grasp and figure out. Cultivating here is several times faster than cultivating in the six realms. Jiang Chun thought to himself. At this moment, Jiang Chun also understood why the cultivators of the boundless universe were generally so strong, and their cultivation was so high. It was because the environment of heaven and earth was different. The great Tao environment reflected was also different. Carefully comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth, the sailboat also slowly sailed toward Heavenspan Court. All the way until half a day later, the Starfield sailboat landed on a small mountain. Then Jiang Chun put it away. "That's Heavenspan Court. How is it? Magnificent, right?" Prince stood at the peak of the mountain and pointed at the cluster of buildings in the distance. Although it wasn't his first time seeing the full appearance of Heavenspan Court, he still could not help marveling. Jiang Chun raised his head and saw that on the ground in the distance, there were tall buildings that towered into the clouds, mahogany gilded with gold, resplendent with divine light. And in the air, islands floated. There were cultivators flying in the air, and there were also people sparring in martial arts. At the same time, the surroundings of that world were filled with array formations and barriers. There was even an emperor sitting cross-legged in the air, overseeing Heavenspan Court's side. "This world is named after Heavenspan Court," Prince said. "In this world, Heavenspan Court's foundation and strength is the strongest. Entering Heavenspan Court, I'll be safe." Jiang Chun let out a long sigh, finally having a place to settle down. But Prince told Jiang Chun that entering Heavenspan Court was not necessarily safe, because Heavenspan Court advocated martial arts and even disregarded life and death under certain circumstances. Tong Tian Garden's Chong Wu encourages the disciples to fight. Prince explained, "The competition in Tong Tian Court is brutal. If you're not careful, your cultivation will be crippled or even killed. At the very least, those cultivators who are several levels higher than me shouldn't be able to attack me, right?" Jiang Chun asked. "Of course." Prince nodded, but he still reminded Jiang Chun not to underestimate those of the same generation. Especially in Heavenly Garden, there were many freaks and monsters. In fact, there were even some whose combat strength was not inferior to his. Even the disciples of those ancient sects had to be careful when they entered Heavenspan Garden. "Let's go," said Prince. "With the medallion, you can enter Heavenspan Gardens directly without having to take the test." "All right." After that, the three of them got up, and it did not take long for them to arrive before the mountain gate of Skyspan Garden. The mountain gate of Heavenly Garden was formed by two tall mountains. There was a large road in the middle that led directly to the inside of Heavenly Garden. At this moment, the street was packed with people. Those people were all here to participate in the test of Heavenspan Garden. Unlike other academies, Heavenspan Garden was recruiting at all times. As long as one could pass the test, they would be able to enter Heavenspan Garden. However, under normal circumstances, only one out of tens of thousands of people would pass the test. Any cultivator who can pass the test is considered to be above everyone else. Prince said. With the medallion in hand, he led Jiang Chun and the others through the crowd towards Heavenspan Garden. However, when the three of them arrived at the mountain gate, Prince handed the medallion to the guard. The guard looked at Jiang Chun, who was standing on the spot in a daze with a stunned expression. "What's wrong?" Prince asked in confusion. "No way. There are pickpockets in this place." Jiang Chun had a strange expression. He touched his body and realized that the medallion was gone. On second thought, It was most likely stolen when he was shuttling through the crowd earlier on. The crown prince was dumbfounded. He thought to himself that he had been too careless. He should have warned Jiangchun. One had to know that there was no name on the medallion. Whoever had the medallion could enter Heavenspan Garden. Therefore, not to mention the token being stolen. Even if it was snatched away, it was very normal. You go in with Little Fox first. I can only participate in the test. Jiangchun smiled bitterly. However, he did not take the test of Heavenspan Garden to heart. After all, with his cultivation as a titled god, he could suppress the godly king. Jiangchun was very confident. Kid, thank you for the medallion. If not for you, it would have been troublesome for me to participate in the test. Suddenly, a green-haired youth walked past Jiangchun with a medallion and handed it to the guard. He even smiled at Jiangchun. Jiangchun was dumbfounded. He was even more confused. According to the other party, the medallion he had was Jiangchun's? What the F***? You stole my medallion, and now you're mocking me? This is intolerable. Prince, take good care of him for me. Jiangchun stared at the green-haired youth. He shouldn't be a human, right? Humans don't dye their hair green, do they? Prince also knew about this. At this moment, his face was gloomy. He walked to the green-haired youth and said coldly, "Come here. Let's go to a quiet place to talk about life." Prince? The Great Void Race? Unexpectedly, the green-haired youth recognized Prince's identity at a glance. There was no trace of fear on his face. He pointed at himself and said mockingly, "Do you know who I am?" Seeing how calm the other party was, Prince was also curious. He could not help but ask, "Oh, there are not many evil races left now. Unfortunately, I am also from the evil race." A trace of arrogance flashed in the green-haired youth's eyes. He said, "I am the son of the flying race's leader, Fei Zhangxiu." Fei Zhangxiu? Prince frowned. After thinking carefully, his expression turned serious. He said, "It's you? Oh, it seems like Prince still knows me. Why? Do you still want to talk about life with me now?" Fei Zhangxiu said mockingly, "I don't want to criticize you, but if we really fight, you might not be my match." Before Prince could speak, Fei Zhangxiu continued, "Even if I let you have a few moves, you might not be able to defeat me." "Really? Then you'll let me have a try?" Prince raised his eyebrows. "All right, come at me. I'll stand and let you hit me." Fei Zhangxiu's face was arrogant. He patted his chest and said, "Come, hit me here. I want you to know the strength of the flying race's physical body." Bang! However, before he could finish his sentence, Prince threw a punch. The black blood mist was like a black stone pillar. It landed on Fei Zhangxiu's chest with a loud bang. With a scream, Fei Zhangxiu was sent flying 1,000 meters away. He then lay on the ground and struggled for a long time before he got up. He dares to be so arrogant in front of the prince of the Great Void Race. He is indeed Fei Zhangxiu of the flying race. Xiao, is that you? Chapter 1140. The flying race was also one of the few evil races. This race was very powerful, and their way of doing things was very unyielding. Even in the face of the Great Void Race, the flying race was not afraid. Just like now, after Fei Zhangxiu struggled to get up from a distance, he came in front of Prince and said provocatively, "That's it." The Crown Prince was stunned for a moment. If this wasn't Heavenly Garden, he would have crippled you with that blow. "Stop it, both of you." At this moment, the mountain guard spoke. He glanced indifferently at Prince and Fei Zhangxiu and did not blame them for acting in private. That was because Heavenly Garden encouraged disciples to fight among themselves. They cultivated through fighting and nurtured through fighting. "Prince, I really don't want to criticize you, but you're not doing well now. Why are you with a human?" Fei Zhangxiu patted his chest and mocked. "Are you about to fall?" "Your mouth stinks," the Crown Prince said coldly, glaring at Fei Zhangxiu. After a few breaths, Prince grabbed Fei Zhangxiu's neck and said, "I really can't let you do as you please." With that, Prince carried Fei Zhangxiu and walked away, probably intending to have a good discussion about life philosophy with Fei Zhangxiu. At this moment, Jiangchun was very helpless. Without the token, he could only participate in the assessment ceremony. Silence. After half an incense stick's time, the mountain guard suddenly spoke. He glanced at Heavenly Garden, as if waiting for someone, but did not see him. Outside the mountain gate, it was already crowded. The assessment elder doesn't seem to be here today, so I'll preside over the assessment, the mountain guard said. Jiang Chun was struck dumb. He thought to himself, was the test of the sky reaching garden always so casual? Looking at the people around him, Jiang Chun realized that these people were not very surprised. It seemed that Heavenly Garden had always been so casual. Actually, the assessment is quite simple. You just need to last half an incense stick's time in my hands. The mountain guard smiled. The assessment of Heavenly Garden has always been simple. Simple? The assessment of Heavenly Garden is famous for being difficult. Many people cursed in their hearts. There were so many academies in the Eastern Star Field, and only Heavenspan Garden's examination was considered to be of a hellish difficulty. Wang! At that moment, the Mountain Guardian's aura erupted. He was an ultimate god. Immediately after, the Divine Master's aura spread out like layers of clouds and covered everyone's bodies. At this moment, Jiang Chun was also somewhat dumbfounded. The test seemed simple, but in reality, it was extremely difficult. Not to mention a titled deity like him. Even an ordinary deity king would not be able to withstand the pressure of a venerable god for half an hour. At this moment, Jiang Chen's entire face was flushed red. His bones were crackling, and even his meridians and internal organs were twisting. If it wasn't for the myriad transformations, heavenly lamp, and the 3 strands of chaos chi supporting him, Jiang Chun would have collapsed on the ground. In the surroundings, many people had already fallen to the ground, foaming at the mouth and fainting on the spot. In the short span of a dozen breaths, 90% of the people outside Heavenly Palace had fainted. The remaining people were all pale, and their bodies were swaying. Some were even bleeding from their orifices, but they were still holding on bitterly. Entering Heavenly Palace is like ascending to heaven in a single bound. We have to get through it. Those who were still standing were determined. Even if they had to burn their blood essence, they had to persevere. At the same time, many people's gazes fell on Jiang Chun. One must know that those who were still standing had the lowest cultivation level of a lower deity king. Only Jiang Chun, a god with a title, was still standing there, standing tall and strong. This puzzled many people and made them even more shocked. They secretly wondered what was going on with Jiang Chun. How could a titled deity withstand the pressure of a venerable god? Even the Mountain Guardian was stunned for a moment and could not help but take a few more glances at Jiang Chun. Luckily, I have the myriad transformations heavenly lamp and the 3 strands of chaos chi. Otherwise, this heavenly palace would be really difficult to enter. Jiang Chun secretly rejoiced. However, seeing that half an hour was almost up, the Mountain Guardian's lips curled up slightly, and the pressure on his body suddenly skyrocketed. Plop! In an instant, many people fell to the ground, and in their hearts, they were cursing the Mountain Guardian's ancestors. This was because the pressure that the Mountain Guardian had unleashed had reached the level of a lower deity king. How can we persevere? We are just deity kings. This is too inhumane. Many people cursed in their hearts. Their bodies could not take it anymore. Not only were they suppressed to the ground, but they also fainted. After a few breaths, Jiang Chun was the only seedling left outside the mountain gate. It was not that Jiang Chun was very strong, but the 3 strands of chaos chi in his body were too extraordinary. The 3 strands of chaos chi turned into wisps of mist and circulated on the surface of Jiang Chun's body. They actually dissolved most of the pressure. This time, the Mountain Guardian took a few more glances at Jiang Chun, and he was a little confused. How can a titled deity withstand the pressure of a god emperor? The Mountain Guardian thought to himself. He glanced at the time and couldn't help but mutter, "Forget it, I'll take in one." One had to know that there were many disciples in Heavenly Garden, and it was almost full now. Because of this, Heavenly Garden's test was getting harder and harder. It was because Heavenly Garden did not want to take in any more disciples. Otherwise, which Academy's test would be so insane? However, although Heavenly Garden was almost full, it was still possible to take in 1 or 2 people. Moreover, the mountain guardian could see that Jiang Chun was indeed extraordinary. Keep going. From now on, you are a disciple of Heavenly Garden. After a few breaths, half an hour was up. The mountain guardian pointed at Jiang Chun and then at Heavenly Garden and said, "After you go in, someone will come to receive you." "Okay," Jiang Chun said softly. Then, he took a step forward and finally entered Heavenly Garden. However, Jiang Chun was a little shocked and even a little scared. This was because under the pressure just now, the 3 strands of chaotic aura seemed to have been stimulated and started to boil in the spiritual world. The 3 strands of chaotic aura seemed to have turned into 3 pools. Steam kept rising from them, and there were even bubbles rising from them. At the same time, something seemed to be coming out of the pools formed by the 3 strands of chaotic aura. "Don't tell me. They're going to transform?" Jiangchen was nervous. He knew that chaotic aura was extraordinary. According to the legends, it was very likely that it would give birth to living things. If his 3 strands of chaotic aura really transformed and turned into living things, it was uncertain whether it would be good or bad for him. Moreover, if something happened to the 3 strands of chaotic aura in his spiritual world, Jiang Chen's soul would be the first to suffer. The soul was the foundation of everything. If something happened to the soul, Jiang Chun would probably die. Chapter 1141. Jiang Chun was very irritable at this moment. He didn't look any different on the surface, but his soul was raging like a storm. The small pool formed by the 3 wisps of chaotic aura was boiling at this moment, as if something was being cooked. Some shadows could be vaguely seen in the small pool. However, those shadows were very blurry, and Jiang Chun had always thought that they were fog. However, Jiang Chun still felt very uncomfortable with the chaotic aura changing like this. He was even a little afraid. A new student? A title god? At this moment, a young man walked over. He was in charge of guiding the new students. However, when he saw that Jiang Chun was only a titled god, his expression couldn't help but become strange. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Jiang Chun asked. "Since you've entered Heavenly Garden, there's naturally no problem with your cultivation level." The young man frowned and reminded him, "It's just that, with your cultivation level, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to establish yourself in Heavenly Garden. How about you drop out?" As soon as he said this, Jiang Chun couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then, he looked at the young man a few more times. When he realized that the young man didn't mean any harm, Jiang Chun asked curiously, "Why can't I establish myself? How cruel is the competition in Heavenly Garden?" "It's more than cruel." The young man smiled bitterly and said, "Heavenly Garden doesn't prohibit private fights, and people often die. With your cultivation level, thank you for the reminder." Jiang Chun said softly, "It's okay. I'm just here to take a look. If I really can't survive, I'll just leave." It's right to have such thoughts. In the past, there were some geniuses who were indeed very talented, but they were too arrogant and their cultivation level wasn't high. Unfortunately, they died after private fights with others. The young man sighed. There were also some disciples with high status outside who thought they were noble after entering Heavenly Garden, but the results were very tragic. "I'll just keep a low profile," Jiang Chun said, looking very modest and sensible. However, just as he said this, a roar suddenly came from Jiang Chun's body. Then, a tribulation cloud appeared in the sky above his head. Before the young man could react, a bolt of lightning shot out from the tribulation cloud. Then, a bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket struck down, directly striking Jiang Chun's head. The young man was shocked. Fortunately, his speed was very fast, and he immediately retreated. Otherwise, he would definitely be implicated by Jiang Chun's heavenly tribulation. At the same time, he was also a little depressed. Previously, he had said that it would be fine as long as he kept a low profile. Why was he undergoing the tribulation in the blink of an eye? The commotion caused by this tribulation was not small. Everyone in Heavenly Garden could see it. Moreover, In today's recruitment, other than those who held tokens, only you, a titled god, passed the assessment. You're alone, and you're going through your tribulation right now. You can't keep a low profile even if you want to scram. At this moment, Jiang Chun let out a soft roar. His fist condensed and blasted towards the sky. Boom! Along with an explosion, the tribulation cloud was directly shattered into pieces and transformed into nothingness. Not even a wisp of smoke remained. This. The young man's eyes widened. He had seen many people transcending tribulations, but he had never seen such a powerful and domineering one. The tribulation cloud was blasted away by your palm when only one bolt of lightning struck down. This strength for a titled god, wasn't it too exaggerated? Sorry, I've broken through. At this moment, Jiang Chun was bathed in a brilliant light. Divine light fell bit by bit, and the laws of the great path fell, enveloping his entire body. As if he was wearing a rainbow dress, the sound of the great path surrounded Jiang Chun, sounding like a large bell. You be careful, you really need to keep a low profile. The young man smiled bitterly and said, with the commotion you caused just now, I'm afraid someone has already targeted you. It's okay, I won't cause trouble. Jiang Chun smiled and observed his own situation at the same time. Ever since he unlocked the magical power in his title, Jiang Chun felt that he was about to break through. However, he did not expect that he would break through at this time. My essence, energy, and spirit have strengthened a lot, and my divine power is full. My dragon veins and tiger bones have transformed a little. Jiang Chun felt the changes in his body and was a little confused for a moment. When he was a titled god, Jiang Chun had the strength to fight with a godly king. Now that he had become a lord god, Jiang Chun was wondering if he could suppress a godly king, or even challenge a godly venerable. However, when he thought of this, Jiang Chun shook his head and thought that his thoughts were a little naive. After all, the power of a godly venerable was extraordinary. No matter how strong Jiang Chun's combat strength was, it was impossible for him to jump to the level of a godly venerable. That was the difference of a realm and the gap of Taoist techniques. However, with Jiang Chun's current strength, fighting an ordinary godly king should be a piece of cake. Follow me. Then, the young man brought Jiang Chun to a group of buildings. At a glance, there were rows of huts leaning against the side of a mountain. The interior of each hut led to the inside of the mountain. This was the residence for the disciples of heavenly gardens to cultivate and rest. There are too many disciples of heavenly gardens. We can't fit in anymore. The young man looked at the rows of huts and found that they were all occupied. Only at the end of the row of huts was a shabby hut for junk. No one lived there. Well, as a cultivator, it's the same no matter where you live, but that storage room, can you live there? The young man smiled bitterly. There really are no spare rooms. Anywhere is fine as long as there's a place to stay, Jiang Chun said. For cultivators, it was the same no matter where they lived. Even if they did not have a house, they could still use the sky as their blanket and earth as their bed. Living in a storeroom wasn't a big deal for Jiang Chun. Heavenly Gardens has cultivation rooms, alchemy rooms, and scripture depository. Everything that an academy should have. If there's anything you don't understand about cultivation, you can go to the elders district. The elders there will guide you, the young man said and then left. He did not introduce himself. Perhaps in his heart, Jiang Chun would not stay in Heavenly Gardens for long. At this moment, Jiang Chun entered the storage room. After a simple tidying up, he sat down cross-legged and hurriedly observed the 3 strands of chaotic aura in his body. Sigh. If I can get the devouring heaven technique of the Tao Dai clan, perhaps I can suppress the chaotic aura. Jiang Chun sighed. However, if he wanted to get the devouring heaven technique, he would have to exchange it with Long Dade's inheritance. Even if Jiang Chun agreed, Long Dade would not. Now he could only take one step at a time and hope that the chaotic aura would not change too much. At this moment, when Jiang Chun looked into his spiritual world, he found that 2 strands of chaotic aura had returned to their original form. They were like green air currents that flowed around his soul. The other strand of chaotic aura turned into a small pool. At the same time, a green lotus appeared on top of the pool. However, the green lotus had not bloomed yet. It had just grown. Chapter 1142. Since ancient times, chaos was illusory and difficult to control. Anyone who touched it would end up in a miserable state. However, Jiangchen seemed to be an exception. Ever since the 3 strands of chaos aura appeared in his body, nothing bad happened to him. In fact, these 3 strands of chaos aura often helped him. This made Jiangchen start to wonder if the rumors about chaos were false. Especially now, a strand of chaos turned into a small pool, and a green lotus appeared. Although it did not bloom, it swayed gently and actually filled the air with pure divine power. This divine power was directly absorbed by Jiangchen. He did not need to refine it at all, and his cultivation was constantly improving. I don't need to deliberately cultivate in the future, and my cultivation can continue to improve? Jiangchen was shocked. After careful observation, this green lotus did not have any reaction. Just like that, Jiangchen took a full look. When he was sure that this green lotus would not harm him, his divine consciousness withdrew from the spiritual world. However, in order to unravel the secret of this green lotus, Jiangchen still decided to make a trip to the Sutra Depository. The Sutra Depository in Tiantong Garden contained many ancient books. Perhaps he could find clues about chaos and the green lotus. Then, Jiangchen walked out of the storeroom and prepared to go to the Sutra Depository. However, Tiantong Garden was really too big. After walking around outside, he did not find the Sutra Depository and even forgot the way back. So big. Jiangchen smiled bitterly. He felt that Tiantong Garden was like a maze. He wanted to find someone to ask about it. But suddenly, he heard the sound of fighting. Looking in the direction of the sound, he happened to see 2 people sparring. No, to be precise, it was a fight to the death. Looking carefully, the 2 seemed to have just started fighting, but they were already injured. One of them had a part of his head cut open. Blood spurted out, and even his divine soul was much dimmer. The other was not much better. At this moment, he was burning his essence, energy, and spirit, igniting his own Tao fruit. This fighting style was definitely a fight to the death. And what surprised Jiangchen the most was that there were not many spectators around. When someone passed by them, their eyelids didn't even twitch. They just calmly walked past them. Looks like the competition in Heavenly Garden is indeed brutal. No one cares about private fights. It's a life and death battle at every turn, Jiangchen muttered to himself. He thought to himself that he really should keep a low profile in the future. After all, this was only the outer court of Skyspan Garden. If the competition in the outer court was already so cruel, then wouldn't the competition in the inner court be like a war? Do you know who I am? I am a disciple of the Purple Gold Dragon clan. If you dare to kill me today, the Purple Gold Dragon clan will not let you off. After a dozen breaths of time, the young man whose head had been cut in half fell to the ground. His soul and divine soul had dimmed. He was already heavily injured. However, he was full of confidence. At this moment, he angrily shouted. He was actually a disciple of the Purple Gold Dragon clan. There were many types of dragons, and the Purple Gold Dragon clan was a descendant of the 5-clawed Golden Dragon clan. Although their bloodline wasn't very pure, with the 5-clawed Golden Dragon clan's protection, the Purple Gold Dragon clan's status in the Dragon clan was still very high. Under normal circumstances, ordinary races, including the human race, wouldn't provoke the Purple Gold Dragon clan, let alone kill a member of the Purple Gold Dragon clan in front of so many people. But at this moment, the young man from the Purple Gold Dragon clan had just finished speaking when he saw his opponent slash out with his sword and kill him. Fellow Taoist, you killed a disciple of the Purple Gold Dragon clan in broad daylight. This matter. If the Purple Gold Dragon clan finds out about this, will that young man be all right? Jiangchen asked a passing young man. According to the rules of Heavenly Garden, the grudges of the Heavenly Garden cannot be brought out of the academy, the young man said calmly. The young man said calmly, here, even if the Dragon clan's patriarch is killed, the Dragon clan cannot interfere. That means in here, no matter how high one's status is death? Jiang Chen asked. That's right. The young man nodded. In here, there's no status to speak of. If you want to survive and obtain more cultivation resources, you have to rely on your own strength. With that, the young man sized up Jiang Chen with a strange expression. He frowned slightly and said, a lesser chief god? With this cultivation level, how did you get in? The elders in the clan gave me a token, so I came in just like that, Jiang Chen said softly. Naturally, he wouldn't tell the young man that he had entered by passing the test. After all, he was the only one who had passed the test. If this news were to spread, it would at least attract the attention of some people, if not the entire Heavenly Garden. Let me give you a word of advice. If you can leave, then leave quickly. With your little cultivation level, you'll be killed sooner or later, the young man said. With that, the young man didn't say anything else and turned to leave. Wait, fellow Taoist, do you know how to get to the Sutra Depository? Jiang Chen asked hurriedly. Oh, you want to go to the Sutra Depository? The young man was stunned. He shook his head and said, head east from here. The Sutra Depository is at the end. But, with your cultivation level, I'm afraid you won't be able to enter the Sutra Depository, the young man said. When Jiang Chen heard that, he was dumbfounded. Even entering the Sutra Depository depended on one's cultivation level? Boom! Suddenly, without waiting for Jiang Chen to react, the young man threw a punch. The fist gleam was like a millstone, and it landed squarely on Jiang Chen's body. Dong! Jiang Chen was stunned for a moment. Then, he lowered his head and looked at the fist pressing against his chest. He frowned and asked, why are you attacking me? At that moment, the young man who had attacked also looked dumbfounded. He was a lesser chief god. With that punch, even an upper-rank chief god would be severely injured, let alone a lesser chief god. But what was the situation with this lesser chief god before him? Was he completely fine? Do you really not know some of the rules of Skyspan Garden? A hint of fear flashed across the young man's eyes. He took a few steps back, putting some distance between himself and Jiang Chen. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, every disciple can only enter the Sutra Depository once a month. Each time, it takes half an incense stick to burn. Therefore, the opportunity to enter the Sutra Depository is very precious in Skyspan Garden. When he heard that, Jiang Chen was relieved. So this fellow was trying to snatch the number of times he could enter the Sutra Depository. However, Jiang Chen had just entered Skyspan Garden and had not even received the token that represented his identity as a Skyspan Garden disciple. Even if he wanted to give this opportunity to the young man before him, he could not. Moreover, how could someone like Jiang Chen give it to others so easily? Moreover, when he heard the young man's words, Jiang Chen also realized that he could only enter the Sutra Depository once a month. Each time, it was only for half an incense stick's time. What could he possibly read? Since you've explained so much to me, I won't harm your life. Give me your number of times, and I'll let you go, Jiang Chen said to the young man. A lesser chief god. How dare you say such things to a lesser chief god like me? The young man was stunned. Then, a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. He said coldly, if I don't teach you a lesson today, you really won't know how cruel Skyspan Garden is. Chapter 1143. Heavenly Garden was just that cruel. Nothing could be reasoned with. Even if you don't rob me today, someone else will rob you in the future. Even if I don't rob you today, I'll be beaten up or even killed if I don't have anything to give when others rob me in the future. Therefore, in Heavenly Garden, even if there was no enmity between them, a life-and-death battle could still happen. Just like now, when the young man learned that Jiang Chen hadn't been to the Sutra Library yet, he was tempted. However, he didn't know that Jiang Chen's strength as a lesser chief god was extraordinary. Boom! In that instant, the young man charged out like a dragon. As he charged forward, he even threw a punch. The fist gleam was like the sun. His entire arm looked like it was made of gold, and even the air in front of him was distorting. The young man was confident that he could shatter Jiang Chen with this punch. However, Jiang Chen stood where he was and didn't move at all. He merely threw a punch as well. Boom! The two fists collided in midair. Following a loud explosion, the young man was sent flying backward. Blood splattered along the way, and broken bones even shot out from the young man's body. By the time he fell to the ground, he was already unconscious. That's it. Jiang Chun was stunned. He hadn't even used his full strength, and the other party was already lying down? Heavenly Garden disciples aren't as powerful as I thought, Jiang Chun muttered. With that, Jiang Chun walked to the young man's side and took away his identity token. Then, he walked toward the sutra library. Along the way, Jiang Chun wondered when his identity token would be issued. Brothers, business is here. This kid looks unfamiliar. Don't tell me he just came to Heavenly Garden? He must have something good. Just as Jiang Chun arrived at the sutra library's entrance, 3 young men suddenly rushed out from all directions. All 3 of them were high-ranked godly kings. At this moment, their eyes were shining as they stared at the token in Jiang Chun's hand. Kid, you just came, right? Hand it over. We're easy to talk to. As long as you hand over the token, we won't hurt you at all. The 3 of them surrounded Jiang Chun in a triangular formation. As one of them spoke, his hand reached for the token at Jiang Chun's waist. I know the rules, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Although Jiang Chun had just entered the sky-reaching garden, he had already learned its rules. Survival of the fittest. At this moment, the shadow of a dragon appeared behind Jiang Chun, and a rose bloomed on his chest. With the roar of a dragon and a tiger, Jiang Chun's body spun and punched towards the 3 people. Boom! Boom! With 3 consecutive explosions, the 3 of them did not even have the strength to resist and were directly suppressed to the ground by Jiang Chun. Afterward, Jiang Chun took the tokens from the 3 of them. After looking at them for a while, he couldn't help but ask, "Why is your token different from the one in my hand?" There were 3 light spots on the token that Jiang Chun had taken from the young man. However, there wasn't a single light spot on the tokens in the 3 young men's hands. Could it be that their identity tokens were different even though they were all outer court disciples? The red light spot means that you can go to the Sutra Library once, the blue light spot means that you can go to the Alchemy Pavilion once, and the purple light spot means that you can go to the Cultivation Room once. One of them hurriedly explained, his heart cold. A lower-ranked chief god suppressed 3 godly kings with one move. They could not afford to offend such combat strength. When Jiang Chun heard that, his face darkened, and he asked, "Does that mean that your 3 tokens are useless?" After a while, the stars on the tokens will light up, which means that the number of times you can go is restored, one of them explained. "Oh, then I'll take these 3 tokens and use them first," Jiang Chun said softly. "You're too kind." With that, Jiang Chun got up and was about to enter the Sutra Library. However, at that moment, another young man got up from the ground. His eyes flickered with wariness, but there was also fury. He stared at Jiang Chun's back and said coldly, "You're a new student who hasn't even established yourself in Skyspan Garden. Yet you dare to steal from us seniors? Do you know who our boss is?" Upon hearing this, Jiang Chun's body stopped for a moment. Without turning his head, he said, "I don't know who your boss is, but I have a younger brother called the Crown Prince. If you don't accept this, you can go and look for my younger brother." With that, Jiang Chun took a step forward and entered the Sutra Library. The 3 people outside the Sutra Library exchanged glances. Apart from confusion, there was more shock in their eyes. Of course, they knew who Prince was. He was the young master of the Great Void race, a terrifying existence ranked 9th on the God King level astral list. How could someone like that acknowledge a lower-ranked chief god as his boss? This kid is not ordinary. What if Prince really is his little brother? So what? This is Skyspan Garden. It doesn't matter if you're from the Great Void race or the Jiang clan. Here, even a dragon has to bow down. However, in order to prove Jiang Chun's words, after the 3 of them left the Sutra Library, they asked around and found Prince. When Prince heard that Jiang Chun had actually announced that he was Jiang Chun's little brother, Prince's face darkened. However, Jiang Chun's current status was not ordinary. Not only was he the representative of the Jiang clan, but he was also the highest consecrator of the Great Void race. Moreover, Jiang Qin's blood essence was extremely precious to Prince. At that thought, Prince's expression froze. He didn't say anything. After asking about Jiang Qin's current whereabouts, he disappeared. Prince's face darkened. That kid is definitely lying. Hurry and call the boss over. This new student is not easy to deal with. The three of them were naturally displeased. How could they let this matter rest when 3 godly kings were snatched away by a lower-ranked chief god? That afternoon, outside the Sutra library, more than 10 youths surrounded the place. At the same time, in a corner outside the Sutra library, Prince stood quietly. He was also waiting for Jiang Qin to come out. At the same time, in the Sutra library, after Jiang Qin entered the Sutra library, he had been searching for ancient books on chaos aura. However, he couldn't find anything even after searching for half an hour. The Sutra library in Skyspan Garden was too big. It was impossible to find an ancient book without spending 3 to 5 days. I can only stay in the Sutra library for half an hour each time. Isn't that too stingy? Jiang Qin muttered. The time was up, so he could only come out of the Sutra library. Otherwise, the guardian of the Sutra library would have to personally invite Jiang Qin out. As soon as he came out of the Sutra library, Jiang Qin saw a group of youths outside. Among them, the person in the lead had reached the cultivation level of a high-ranked godly king. Moreover, his aura was very powerful, as if he was about to break through. You have to look at the owner before beating a dog. At this moment, the leading youth raised his eyebrows and stared coldly at Jiang Qin. You're just a new student. You snatched the tokens of 3 of my subordinates the moment you entered Skyspan Garden. Are you provoking me? Chapter 1144. This person's cultivation had reached the level of a high-level celestial king, and his aura was extremely strong. He was definitely not an ordinary celestial king. At this moment, he was glaring at Jiang Qin angrily, as if he was embarrassed that his subordinate's token had been snatched away. Jiang Qin didn't seem to care. Shrugging his shoulders, he said, "They robbed me first. I don't care about that. Hand over the token," the young man said coldly. He took a step forward and walked in front of Jiang Qin. He pointed at Jiang Qin's nose and said, "Why don't you ask around? There are so many disciples in the outer court. How many of them would dare to snatch my subordinate's token?" "I'm sorry, I just came to Heavenly Garden, so I really don't know who you are." Jiang Qin curled his lips and thought, "Are all the disciples of Heavenly Garden so arrogant? A mere celestial king dares to challenge me?" However, Jiang Qin thought about it again. After all, he was from the 6 realms. Now that he had just arrived in the Great Thousand World and had just entered Heavenly Garden, he should keep a low profile to avoid unnecessary trouble. With that thought, Jiang Qin took out the 3 tokens and said, "I'll return them to you. Anyway, there are no stars on these 3 tokens." Umph. The youngster took the 3 tokens. Then he stared at Jiang Qin and said, "Where's your own? You want a yard after taking an inch?" Jiang Qin raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "I advise you to leave quickly and don't provoke me here. I don't want to cause trouble, but it doesn't mean that I'm afraid of it." "Oh, you talk big. I'm causing trouble here today. What can you do? You're just a lower-level chief god. In the entire Heavenly Garden, you're the lowest level." The young man looked contemptuous. Then he pointed at himself and said, "Do you know who I am? People call me Little Big Dipper from the outer court of Heavenly Garden. That's me. Did you hear that? My boss is Little Big Dipper. His name is Jun Chengyun. Kid, you've provoked us, and you still want to let this matter go?" The 3 youths whose tokens had been snatched away by Jiang Qin had arrogant looks on their faces. In their hearts, as long as Jun Chengyun was around, everything would be easy. Jiang Qin's face darkened slightly when he heard that. He thought to himself, "Are these people stupid?" Previously, he alone could suppress 3 god kings. Now, even if Jun Chengyun's cultivation had reached the level of a high god king, even if he was indeed extraordinary, he was still a god king. As long as one was a divine king, they were all the same in Jiang Qin's eyes. Forget it. Sometimes, taking a step back is enough. If I keep taking a step back, then I will feel very uncomfortable in my heart," Jiang Chen muttered. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen slapped his finger away from his nose and said in a cold voice, "Get lost, brat." Chapter 1145. As the young master of the Great Void Race, what he valued the most was his own strength. If his strength was not up to par, he would be a disgrace to the Great Void Race if he went out. Therefore, he needed to go into seclusion to break through to the godly, venerable realm. However, he was also a little worried about Jiang Chen. After all, this lower-ranked chief god's current status was not ordinary. Not only was he the highest consecrator of the Great Void Race, but the Great Void Race also needed his blood essence to cleanse themselves. If anything happened to Jiang Chen, it would undoubtedly be a huge loss to the Great Void Race. From the way I see it, you don't look like someone easy to deal with. Prince glanced at Jiang Chen. Although the other party agreed readily, Prince had a feeling that something big was going to happen. "All right, accompany me to get it. It's an identity token." As Jiang Chen spoke, he pointed at the token hanging on his waist and said with a wry smile, "I snatched this token." "Ah, are you a habitual offender?" Prince said exasperatedly. How long had it been since he entered Heavenly Garden, and he had already snatched a token? No, it was 4 tokens. If he had not returned the previous 3 tokens to Jun Chunyuan, Jiang Chen would have 4 tokens on him now. "How can I be a habitual offender? I'm a decent person," Jiang Chen said seriously. However, when he said that, Jiang Chen also felt very guilty. When he thought of what he had done in the past, cough cough, it seemed like he was indeed a habitual offender. Moreover, he was the leader of the habitual offenders. If Fei Zhangxiu comes looking for you, try your best to avoid him. Although he can't beat me, but... Prince did not finish his sentence, but the meaning behind it was already very clear. Jiang Chen could not beat Fei Zhangxiu. To that, Jiang Chen chuckled and did not explain further. After that, under Prince's lead, the two of them arrived at the utility area in the outer courtyard of Heavenly Garden. After registering here and getting his own identity token, Jiang Chen planned to make another trip to the Sutra Depository. After all, his identity token still had a chance to enter the Sutra Depository. Prince did not go with him. He seemed to be in a hurry to go into seclusion. After that, Jiang Chen came to the Sutra Depository once again. As there was only half an hour, Jiang Chen's actions had to be quick. He summoned the Undying Bird and asked it to help him search for some ancient books about chaos. "Is this the book you're looking for?" Dozens of breaths later, the immortal bird came up to Jiang Chen with an ancient book in its mouth. On the cover of the ancient book were the words, "The beginning of chaos. To heavens, to heavens, to heavenly garden, have heavenly heavens rank Jiang Chen. To Jiang Master Jiang's, to the Jiang Master Lord, to it, to have heavenly, to great void sex." This was because there was a picture in the last few pages of the ancient book. It was a picture of a green lotus rooted in a small pond. Jiang Chen couldn't be more familiar with the appearance of this azure lotus. It was exactly the same as the azure lotus in his spiritual world. Chaos green lotus. The flower blooms, and the world is defeated. Jiang Chen whispered. Looking at the ancient book's notes on the chaos green lotus, his heart chilled. Because once an azure lotus was born within the chaos, it represented a rebirth. And before he could be reborn, he would have to go through the great destruction. Once the chaotic green lotus in Jiang Chen's body bloomed, it meant that Jiang Chen would undergo a great destruction and a rebirth. However, whether or not he could be reborn was another matter altogether. After all, what was recorded in the ancient books was deduced by the predecessors. No one had ever controlled chaos, and no one's spiritual world had ever given birth to the chaos green lotus. Perhaps, since ancient times, Jiang Chen was the first. If I can't be reborn, I will be like the chaos, becoming illusory and existing between the great Tao. Jiang Chen whispered. What was the difference between this and death? At this moment, Jiang Qin's heart palpitated. He had to separate the 3 strands of chaos chi from his body. Otherwise, these 3 strands of chaos chi would cause a big problem sooner or later. Looks like I have to think of a way to get the Taotai clan's devouring heaven skill. Otherwise, these 3 strands of chaos chi will not be easy to deal with. Jiang Qin sighed. However, little Taotai had said before that it only wanted the inheritance of the ancestral dragon. Jiang Qin's only way was to use Long Dade's inheritance to exchange with the Taotai clan. However, even if Jiang Qin agreed, would Long Dade agree? That was a unique inheritance. Would Long Dade give it away? Thinking of this, Jiang Qin's head hurt even more. Isn't it good now? Besides, the 3 strands of chaos chi have helped you a lot. Perhaps in the end, the chaos chi will not be as terrifying as recorded in the ancient books. The undying bird said, it's better to be safe than sorry. Jiang Qin said snappily, if I die, do you think you can live on? But where are we going to find the Taotai clan's devouring heaven skill now? The undying bird was also a little anxious. Just as Jiang Qin said, if he died, the undying bird would die with him. Also, recently, I feel that the myriad transformations heavenly lamp is a little out of control. Jiang Qin said in a deep voice. To be precise, there seems to be a problem with the lamp bearer. Sometimes, when I want to use the myriad transformations heavenly lamp, I always feel that it's very difficult. The myriad transformations heavenly lamp seems to be controlled by someone else. Jiang Qin said. When these words came out, the undying bird's face changed. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, this soul ascending devil technique was taught to you by the evil lord, right? Back then, I saw that there was something wrong with that old monk. Indeed, there's something wrong. Jiang Qin nodded. Back in the Eternal City, when Jiang Qin first met the evil lord, he was still a benevolent old monk. But later, the evil lord kept saying that he had returned. From then on, the evil lord changed. Not only did his strength become extremely strong, even his personality changed, as if he was a different person. Then, was the evil lord's change related to the soul ascending devil technique? Do you feel anything when I cultivate the soul ascending devil technique? Jiang Qin asked. Me? I don't feel anything. It's just that I'm getting stronger and stronger, and I feel like I'm about to return to my ancestors. The undying bird said, the Emperor's vine is also transforming, but the effect is not as obvious as mine. Only the myriad transformations heavenly lamp. Something is wrong. Jiang Qin said in a deep voice. Then, Jiang Qin planned to look for some ancient books about the myriad transformations heavenly lamp to see if he could find some clues. However, the time of half an incense stick was up very quickly. Those brats, if I meet them, I'll definitely kill them. This is so infuriating. The Starfield sailboat that the 3 of us built together was taken away just like that. Just as Jiang Qin came out of the scripture depository, he heard a lot of noise coming from outside. It can't be so coincidental, right? Jiang Qin muttered. After walking out of the scripture depository, he happened to see Mu Fengyin and the rest. When Mu Fengyin and his companions saw Jiang Qin, they were taken aback at first. Then an ominous glint flashed in their eyes. Chapter 1146. Outside the scripture depository, a group of people led by Mu Fengyin looked at Jiang Qin as if they were looking at an enemy. They could not wait to skin Jiang Qin alive. Oh, what a coincidence, Jiang Qin said with a smile. He greeted them and was about to leave. You still want to leave? Mu Fengyin took a step forward and blocked Jiang Qin's path. He said coldly, this is not the outside world. Do you still have an emperor to back you up? Oh, so what if I don't have an emperor to back me up? Jiang Qin joked. What can you do to me? Hand over the Starfield sailboat. Otherwise, I'll kill you today. Mu Fengyin said coldly, his eyes full of killing intent. It was because of this incident that not only him, but also the 3 emperors from before were punished. This time, if they had not met other factions on the way here, it would have taken them a long time to enter Heavenly Garden. Kill me? Do you think you can do it? Jiang Chen's eyelids drooped slightly, as if he did not care at all. To Jiang Chen, as long as one's cultivation did not exceed a godly king, everything was trash. Kid, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to hand it over or not? Mu Fingyin's face was completely gloomy, and the killing intent deep in his eyes was not concealed at all. He was truly enraged. At the same time, a group of youngsters behind him also walked over. They surrounded Jiang Chun from all directions. Those people all came from 3 different powers. As for those 3 powers, they had built that Starfield sailboat together. Brother, we were wrong before. If you talk nicely with him, maybe he'll return the Starfield sailboat to us. Mu Fingxue was also there. She was still wearing her veil and stood behind the crowd, showing no intention of making a move. Her voice was soft and gentle, but it gave off a sickly feeling. Jiang Chun could not help but look at Mu Fingxue. He smiled and said, "Look at how reasonable your sister is. If you talk nicely, the Starfield sailboat might even be returned to you." Really? Mu Fingyin whispered. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Jiang Chun waving his hand. "It's too late to talk now. Brat, are you playing with us?" Mu Fingyin was furious. He waved his hand and said, "Kill him. Brat, how dare you steal a Starfield sailboat from the Suzuki Valley Alliance? You must be tired of living." At this moment, a group of people in the surroundings attacked. Each of them had a majestic aura. Palm prints and fist radiance fell, shaking the void. There were even people who set up arrays, causing a rain of fire to fall, bringing with it wind, rain, and thunder. "Brother, stop fighting." Mu Fingxue looked anxious. She seemed to have seen Jiang Chen's battle prowess. However, her words were still a beat too slow. The moment Mu Fingyin and the others made their move, Jiang Chun pushed out with both hands. The dragon's shadow was like a long river, sweeping across. Although my sister doesn't have a saint physique, she was born with the eye of illusion. After some time, she will be able to enter the inner courtyard directly. At that time, you, a mere outer courtyard disciple, will be nothing, Mu Fingyin said coldly. At this moment, he stood up and shouted at Mu Fingxue, "Hurry up and attack. Kill him." Hearing this, Jiang Chen smiled wryly and shrugged helplessly. He said, "You also heard it. Your brother still wants to kill me." "Brother, shut up." Mu Fingxue was anxious. She indeed had the eye of illusion and could see some things clearly. For example, Jiang Chen's battle prowess. In her eyes, although Mu Fingyin and the others were godly monarchs, their auras were only grayish-white with impurities. On the other hand, Jiang Chen's aura were reddish-gold. It was like a brilliant sun that would never be extinguished. This was a certain embodiment of strength, and this kind of scene could only be seen by people with the eye of illusion. Therefore, from the beginning, Mu Fingxue was anxious. She already knew that Mu Fingyin and the others were not Jiang Chen's match, and she herself could not defeat Jiang Chen. Mu Fingyin and the others had not yet reacted. Now, their lives were in Jiang Chen's hands. "Move aside. If I don't kill them today, I won't be at ease," Jiang Chen said softly. He stared at Mu Fingxue and said, "The eye of illusion is a little interesting." Chapter 1147. The eye of illusion could see through some things in the world, including living creatures. Although this eye was not a saint physique, its power was unpredictable if cultivated to the Mahayana stage. At this moment, Jiang Chen was not afraid of Mu Fingxue, but he felt that if he had someone with the eye of illusion by his side, wouldn't that be equivalent to having a demon-revealing mirror? When the time came and he fought with others, he could let him see it first and then fight if he could defeat him. How reassuring and safe would that be? However, now that he had fallen out with Mu Fingyin, Jiang Chen naturally did not have such thoughts. "He's my brother. I can't back down," Mu Fingxue said in a low voice. She clearly knew that she was no match for Jiang Chen, but she did not back down. After all, They were siblings. Oh, could it be that I have to destroy a flower today? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. He did not mind killing one more. Jiang Chen was very clear that if these people did not die today, he would definitely not have a good life in the future. After all, this was the Great Thousand World. He didn't have a strong foundation, and he didn't have many connections. If Mu Fengyan and the others managed to find someone powerful in the future and came to make trouble for him, Jiang Chen wouldn't be able to stop them. Sister, don't talk nonsense with him. Kill him. Mu Fengyan's face was ferocious. Although he was no match for Jiang Chen, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. Jiang Chen also saw that Mu Fengyan's expression and attitude did not have a trace of fear. Then there must be a reason. Perhaps he thought that Mu Fengxue could defeat him? Or perhaps Mu Fengyan still had some trump card. At this thought, Jiang Chen felt that this matter could not be delayed any longer. Get out of the way! At this moment, Jiang Chen shouted and the Emperor's vine appeared. The purple gold vines were like chains that directly imprisoned Mu Fengxue and threw her to the side. Just after this, Jiang Chen charged forward. His fist was as bright as the moon, and it engulfed Mu Fengyan and his companions. His entire body flickered with scarlet gold divine light, and one could even vaguely see the image of a dragon and tiger floating around him. There even seemed to be a green lotus gently swaying above his head. This guy, this combat strength, is unfathomable. Mu Fengyan and the others were shocked. They tried to resist, but under the pressure of this fist, they couldn't even move a finger. However, before the punch could land, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Jiang Chen's reaction was extremely fast. He withdrew his fist and retreated rapidly. The moment he left his original spot, a cold light flew past his cheek. The sharp aura shook his cheek so much that it hurt. At this moment, Jiang Chen was shocked. He knew that this person's strength was not below his. These people are mine? At this moment, a light voice was heard. Then, a black shadow landed in front of Mu Fengyan and the others. The black shadow was surrounded by a black fog, but at this moment, it slowly disappeared and revealed its true appearance. In an instant, Jiang Chen was stunned. He stared at the black shadow with his eyes wide open, as if he was very surprised. You? Jiang Chen opened his mouth, but didn't continue speaking. Because the other party's identity. Have we not seen each other for so long that you have almost forgotten me? The young man joked as if he already knew Jiang Chen's identity. Yes, we haven't seen each other for a long time. I thought you were dead, Jiang Chen said coldly. He looked at the young man with mixed feelings. Because this young man was none other than Jiang Chen's lifelong enemy, Mu Xingyun. Jiang Chen never expected to meet Mu Xingyun here. Although Jiang Chen also knew that with Mu Xingyun's methods, it was impossible for him to die in the Six Realms. However, he never thought that the vast Thousand Realms would be so coincidental. Or was it fate that he would meet Mu Xingyun in Heavenly Garden? Moreover, from the looks of it, he seemed to have been in Heavenly Garden for a while and was doing well. As for Mu Xingyun, Jiang Chen found it difficult to describe his feelings for him. Enemy? Mortal enemy? However, Mu Xingyun had also saved him back then. During the ultimate battle on the godless continent, Mu Xingyun had also helped. Later on in the divine realm, the two of them also fought, but they also worked together. However, Jiang Chen and Mu Xingyun both knew that there would be a battle between them eventually. This is the new holy son of the court of the night, Mu Xingyun. Kid, you're finished today. Mu Fengyan became arrogant again. As he spoke, he saluted Mu Xingyun and said, Holy son, this person is detestable. He stole our Starfield sailboat and now wants to kill us. Oh, is this person really so powerful? Mu Xingyun joked with a strange expression. He was clearly asking the obvious. Very powerful. Mu Fengxue nodded and said, a lesser chief god's combat strength is not weaker than a godly king. Oh, this is interesting. Mu Xingyun chuckled. In front of everyone, he acted as if he did not know Jiang Chen. This was because both of them knew that once their identities as people of the Six Realms were exposed, it would not benefit either of them. I like to fight with prodigies. Today, I'll fight you. Mu Xingyun stared at Jiang Chun, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. He was also recalling. Come to think of it, it seemed that he had not fought with Jiang Chun for a long time. Their strength had always been on par with each other. Your underlings want to kill me. I'm just protecting myself. Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows and said, What? You want to kill me too? Under fair conditions, isn't it normal for me to kill you? Mu Xingyun asked. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chun smiled. Mu Xingyun was still Mu Xingyun. He had not changed. In fact, Mu Xingyun had several opportunities to kill Jiang Chun back then. However, he did not do so. Instead, he saved Jiang Chun several times. According to Mu Xingyun, he wanted to defeat Jiang Chun under absolutely fair conditions. Perhaps this was a form of respect between mortal enemies. And now, Jiang Chun was a lesser chief god, and Mu Xingyun was a lesser chief god. Although the two of them were a cultivation level apart, Mu Xingyun actually suppressed his cultivation level to that of a lesser chief god right after he said that. In this instant, Jiang Chun understood that Mu Xingyun wanted to end things today. Come to think of it, from the godless continent to the divine realm, and now it was indeed time to end things. What's the meaning of this, Holy Sun? Why are you suppressing your cultivation level? Mu Xingyun was puzzled. He said, Given your cultivation level and strength, you can suppress the other party directly without suppressing your cultivation level. Do I need you to interfere in my actions? Mu Xingyun's eyes narrowed. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, and he took a deep look at Mu Xingyun. He said, Get lost. As soon as he said this, Mu Xingyun's expression turned a little ugly. After all, being reprimanded in public definitely made him lose face. However, when he thought of Mu Xingyun's identity, he could only endure it. Yo, kid, you really know how to stir up trouble. This time, you've even provoked the Holy Sun of the Court of the Night? However, before Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyun could start fighting, Jun Xingyun walked over from afar. His words carried a hint of confidence and arrogance. Chapter 1148. Jun Xingyun came again. He seemed to have found out that Jiang Chun was here. At this moment, he had a confident and arrogant look on his face as he leisurely walked past Mu Xingyun and finally stood in front of Jiang Chun. Pass on my brother Jun Lintian's verbal order for you to pay him a visit. Jun Xingyun raised his chin and said contemptuously, Come with me. Jun Lintian's verbal order? Who does he think he is? Jiang Chun's eyes narrowed as a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Who does he think he is? An emperor? Does he really think that he can command the world and make me submit with a single sentence? My brother Jun Lintian is ranked 8th on the God King level astral list, even above Prince. He's asking you to go because he thinks highly of you. Jun Xingyun said, Don't be so shameless. Don't wait for my brother to come personally. At that time, you will either die or be injured. I think I'm giving you face, right? Jiang Chun said coldly. I'll let you go before, but it doesn't mean that I'm afraid of Jun Lintian. Kid, do you really not know what it means to be ranked 8th on the God King level astral list? Jun Xingyun raised his eyebrows and said, It means that among all the God Kings in the vast thousand world, my brother's combat strength is ranked 8th. His combat strength is unparalleled. He's a reputable figure. Today, he asked me to pass on a message to you because he thinks highly of you. For ordinary people, he would directly suppress them. Jun Xingyun said. As soon as he said this, without waiting for Jiang Chun to speak, Mu Xingyun said lightly from the side, So what if he's ranked 8th? It's not number 1. So what if he's number 1? What's there to be arrogant about? The Saint of the Court of the Night's tone is not small, but as far as I know, you haven't entered the astral list yet, right? Are you worried that your ranking is not high enough, so you don't dare to test your astral list ranking? Jun Xingyun mocked. Mu Xingyun chuckled when he heard this. Then, he looked at Jiang Chun meaningfully. This guy can endure so much today. That's not his style. Just as Mu Xingyun was feeling puzzled, the cold light in Jiang Chun's eyes soared. He directly punched out, and a terrifying divine power erupted like a wave, directly suppressing Jun Xingyun under his feet. Go back and tell your brother that even if he came personally, what can he do? So what if he was ranked 8th on the God King level astral list? I, Jiang Chun, am fearless. As Jiang Chun spoke, he gave Jun Qingyan a kick and sent him flying hundreds of yards away. Along the way, the sound of bones cracking could be heard. There was even blood that sprinkled down like cherry blossoms. Jiang Chun, how dare you attack me? This time, there's no way for you to survive. Jun Qingyun roared angrily. He struggled to get up from the ground and glared fiercely at Jiang Chun. You're dead meat. I'm just waiting for death here. I wonder what kind of ability you have to make me die here. Jiang Chun whispered. Hearing this, Jun Qingyun fell silent. He knew that he had met a ruthless character today. If he continued to speak, he would be at a disadvantage. Then he turned around and flew into the distance. You're really something. Wherever you go, you're an influential figure, Mu Xingyan teased. It seems that the battle between you and I won't be able to continue today. Green Mountain is always here. There's plenty of time, Jiang Chun said with a chuckle. In fact, at this point, what enmity couldn't be resolved between Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan? It was just that they couldn't get over the hurdle in their hearts. Let's go, Mu Xingyan whispered and turned to leave. Mu Fengyan and the others were unhappy when they saw this. Mu Fengyan walked to Mu Xingyun's side and asked tentatively, Saint, are we just going to let it go? Without waiting for Mu Xingyun to speak, Mu Fengyan said in a low voice, the Suzuki Valley and the Court of the Night are close friends and have a good relationship. As the young valley master of the Suzuki Valley, I'm at a disadvantage. You won't help me? You're weak. Who's to blame? Mu Xingyun said disdainfully, learn more from your sister. Keeping a low profile and being steady is the choice to take the long road. But Mu Fengyan opened his mouth, but he also knew Mu Xingyun's character. Since he was unwilling to help, then today's matter was over. However, Mu Fengyan didn't care. As long as he was still in Heavenly Garden, the enmity between him and Jiang Chun would be settled sooner or later. Wait until my sister enters the inner court. Then, I'll suppress you. At that time, I can do whatever I want to you, Mu Fengyan thought to himself. Then, he left with Mu Xingyun with a dark face. They hadn't gone far when a decree suddenly landed in front of the Sutra Depository. The divine power on the decree surged, and divine light swirled. The words on the decree were like stars, and they carried a vast and majestic aura. Oh, a battle? This is Jun Lingtian's decree. At that moment, everyone turned to look at the contents of the decree. The words Jun Lingtian were written at the bottom. The decree also said that he would fight with Jiang Chun on Heavenly Garden Peak in 3 days. This was a battle invitation. Heavenly Garden Peak? Have a battle to the death. There are many fights in the Academy on normal days, but it's nothing strange. However, any battle on Heavenly Garden Peak will attract attention. Looks like Jun Lingtian wants to cause a bit of a stir this time. He hasn't made a move for a long time. He probably wants to use this opportunity to intimidate others. Many people guessed, but they were also very puzzled. If Jun Lingtian, who was ranked 8th on the God King level astral ranking, wanted to establish his might, why would he look for Jiang Chun, a lower-ranked chief god? Even if he won, Jun Lingtian would be said to be bullying the weak and using his cultivation realm to suppress others. What was there to establish his might? 3 days later? Sure, I'll keep you company. Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. He didn't want to continue holding back either. After these few incidents, Jiang Chun finally understood that in Heavenly Garden, one's fist did indeed speak. Whoever's fist was harder was king, and that person was the truth. Blindly keeping a low profile and enduring would only attract more and more trouble. Since Jun Lingtian wanted to establish his might, then Jiang Chun would accompany him. Establish my might? I wonder who will be establishing his might when the time comes. Jiang Chun said coldly. Then Jiang Chun got up and caught up to Mu Xingyun and the rest in a few steps and stopped them. What? Want to fight with me? Mu Xingyun was stunned and said, The battle with Jun Lingtian 3 days later isn't easy to deal with. Aren't you going to make preparations? Jiangchen laughed when he heard that and said, Precisely. I'm going to make preparations, so I came to borrow some things. Then, Jiangchen looked at Mu Fengyin and the rest and said, Hand over all your tokens. Are you courting death? Are you looking down on the holy sun of the court of the night? The group was stunned and then shouted angrily. However, what surprised everyone was that Mu Xingyun did not say anything. He waved his hand and left just like that. At this moment, Mu Fengyin and the rest began to doubt their lives. Why was their big brother like this? They didn't know that in Mu Xingyun's eyes, they were just lackeys. He only helped them because the Court of the Night and the Suzuki Valley had a good relationship. He was just giving them face. Chapter 1149. Mu Xingyun left just like that, too lazy to care about Mu Fengyin and the rest. Without Mu Xingyun, what could Mu Fengyin and the rest do? At this moment, their eyes were filled with anger, but due to Jiang Qin's strength, they could only give their tokens to him in the end. Hand over yours too. Jiang Qin looked at Mu Fengxue and joked, You're all family. If I don't take yours, others will misunderstand. Mu Fengxue froze when she heard that, as if she was very surprised. She stared at Jiang Chun, hesitated for a moment, and handed the token to Jiang Chun with a snort. You really don't know how to be gentle with women, Mu Fengxue said coldly. Aren't you afraid of dying alone? Dying alone? That doesn't exist. Jiang Chun raised his brows. Which of his female disciples didn't want to sleep with him? It was just that Jiang Chun didn't agree. Then, Jiang Chun left. He didn't go to the scripture depository but entered the cultivation room. With Mu Fengyin and the rest tokens and Jiang Chen's own token, he could cultivate in the cultivation room for a long time. The cultivation room in Heavenly Gardens was extraordinarily built. There were many arrays that could condense large amounts of heaven and earth origin chi, and even divine Tao laws. Cultivating in the cultivation rooms of Heavenspan Garden was much better than cultivating outside. The battle with Jun Lingtian in 3 days. I really have to prepare, Jiangchen said softly. He sat cross-legged in the cultivation room and cultivated quietly. Time passed by slowly. Ever since Jun Lingtian issued the divine decree, this matter had spread. For a moment, many people in the outer court were curious and guessing. Who was the person who could make Jun Lingtian issue a divine decree to battle? Jun Lingtian, ranked 8th on the God King level astral list, and 3rd among all the outer court disciples. He's been in seclusion for a long time. Maybe he broke through again. Even if his cultivation didn't increase, his combat power is definitely more terrifying. While the crowd was discussing this matter, someone revealed Jiang Chen's identity. What? That Jiang Chen is only a lesser chief god. Such a cultivation base is worthy of Jun Lingtian personally issuing a divine decree to challenge him. This time, many people were dumbfounded. A prodigy who ranked 8th on the godly king level astral list actually wanted to challenge a lower rank lord to a duel? Even if he won, it wouldn't be glorious, right? I heard that it was to help Jun Xingyun vent his anger. As soon as Jiang Chen entered Heavenly Garden, he snatched many people's tokens, including Jun Xingyun's. Given the relationship between Jun Xingyun and Jun Lingtian, it's worth Jun Lingtian taking action. For a time, the entire outer court was discussing the arranged battle between Jiang Chun and Jun Lingtian. However, the heat of this matter quickly died down because no one thought highly of Jiang Chun. They thought that this battle was meaningless. At the same time, in a cultivation room, Jiang Chun cultivated quietly, observing the green lotus from time to time. To be honest, Jiang Chen's heart would palpitate every time he saw the green lotus in the spiritual world. However, the green lotus hadn't done anything to harm Jiang Chun until now. This made Jiang Chun feel much more at ease. At least, nothing would happen for the time being. Master, I'm going to nirvana. Suddenly, the undying bird spoke. After this period of cultivation, under the effect of the soul ascension demonic technique, it was going to nirvana again. This time, the undying bird Dao Hun situation was very special. It needed to borrow part of Jiang Qin's power to undergo nirvana. According to the undying bird Dao Hun, this nirvana was very special. It was very likely that after nirvana, it would advance to an ancestor level Dao Hun. At the same time, the Emperor's Vine also transmitted a weak consciousness, telling Jiang Qin that it was also going to nirvana. Moreover, like the undying bird Dao Hun, it also needed to borrow part of Jiang Qin's power. Just like that, before Jiang Qin could reply, half of the power in his body was absorbed by the Emperor's Vine and the undying bird Dao Hun. Then, no matter how Jiang Qin called out, the two Dao Hun became completely silent and didn't respond at all. The two of you really know how to pick the right time. I'm going to have a fight to the death with Jun Lintian in 3 days, but you took away half of my power at this time. Jiang Qin's face darkened, and his heart sank. With half of his power now, how could he fight Jun Lintian? One had to know that Jun Lintian was a genius who ranked 8th on the Godly King level astral list. He wasn't an ordinary Godly King. If Jiang Qin were to fight Jun Lintian in his current state, he would definitely die. The people around me are trying to trick me, and even my own Dao Hun is trying to trick me. Jiang Qin sighed. This was going to be troublesome. However, Jiang Qin didn't intend to avoid the fight. Jiang Qin had mastered many forbidden skills. At most, he could use many forbidden skills at all costs. He should be able to fight Jun Lintian to a standstill. Have you checked? Is that guy really related to the Great Void Race? At this moment, in another cultivation room, a handsome and tall young man was frowning. In front of him, a person knelt on one knee and said, "Young Master Lintian, I've checked. Jiang Qin had a lot of opportunities in the Dragon Carrier world. Now, he's the highest consecrator of the Great Void Race. Moreover, the Jiang clan has appointed him as the representative." Hearing that, Jun Lintian couldn't help but smile mockingly and said, "Interesting. Young Master, the Great Void Race and the Jiang clan aren't to be trifled with. If you really kill Jiang Qin in this life-and-death battle, well, the Great Void Race and the Jiang clan, he's just a lesser chief god. So what if I kill him?" Jun Lintian chuckled and said, "I kill him just to tell the Great Void Race and the Jiang clan that the world is afraid of them, but my Emperor clan isn't. Young Master, are you trying to establish your power?" "Of course." Jun Lintian raised his eyebrows. "I'm about to enter the inner yard. If I establish my power now and let those people in the inner yard know my strength, there will be many conveniences and benefits when I enter the inner yard." Then Jun Lintian waved his hand and said, "Spread this news. It's best if Prince knows. I'll see if he can still cultivate in seclusion and peace." Yes. Time passed. In a flash, 3 days had passed. On this day, Jiang Qin walked out of the cultivation room and stretched his muscles and bones. Then he was about to walk towards Heavenly Peak. However, just as he took a few steps, Jiang Qin couldn't help but freeze on the spot. That was because Heavenly Garden was too big. He didn't even know where Heavenly Peak was. Why build such a big academy for no reason? There aren't any coordinates or anything. Aren't they afraid that I'll get lost? Jiang Qin muttered. As he walked, he planned to ask someone for directions. Not long after Jiang Qin walked out of the cultivation room, the door of the cultivation room beside him opened, and Jun Lintian walked out as well. Just like that, the two of them walked in tandem. One walked towards the east of the cultivation room, while the other walked towards the west. Chapter 1150. Heavenly Court was simply too big, especially the outer court, which spanned tens of thousands of miles. If one was not familiar with the place, it was indeed very easy to get lost here. After Jiang Qin came out of the cultivation room, he walked all the way to the east. Along the way, he asked many people, but they all ignored him. This made Jiang Qin very speechless. After walking for half a day and seeing that it was almost time for the battle, he still had not found Heavenly Peak. At the same time, at Heavenly Peak, the place was already crowded with people. Everyone knew that Jun Lintian and Jiang Qin were going to fight on this day, and many people had come here early in the morning. They had found a good place, and they all wanted to see what would happen in this fight. Of course, Even more people came to see Jun Lingtian. Jun Lingtian was a popular figure in the outer court and received a lot of attention. In particular, his strength had always ranked in the top 10 in the outer court. Now that he had come out of seclusion this time, many people were guessing that Jun Lingtian was acting in such a high-profile manner because his cultivation had improved again. Was this not only to establish his dominance, but also to increase his ranking? This kid, what on earth is he doing? With his cultivation, he's going to battle a lesser chief god? Even if he wins, it won't be very honorable, right? I've already asked around. It's said that Jiang Chun is on pretty good terms with the Great Void Race's prince, and the Juns and the Great Void Race can be said to be mortal enemies. Since Jun Lingtian can't find Prince, he's definitely going to attack his subordinates. The surroundings were very noisy. At the same time, there were also people looking around, searching for Jiang Chen's figure. However, it was already late in the morning, and they did not see anyone going up Heavenly Peak. Where's that Jiang Chen? He must be afraid of the battle. One must know that the battle on Heavenly Peak is a battle of life and death. Only one person can survive. He's just a lesser chief god. How would he dare to accept the battle here? Everyone was not optimistic about Jiang Chen's chances. Even if Jiang Chen did not come today, no one would find it strange. Just as I thought. Jun Lingtian stood on top of the Tingtian peak with a smile on his face. He was confident in his judgment. He knew that Jiang Chen wouldn't come, and this arranged battle was just for show for the group of people from the outer court. He wanted to tell his competitors in the outer court that he, Jun Lingtian, had come out of seclusion. At the same time, he wanted to embarrass the Great Void Race. That was all. As for this battle, in his eyes, there was no need to fight at all. But what he didn't know was that it wasn't that Jiang Chen was afraid to fight, but that he was lost. Moreover, at this moment, although Jiang Chen didn't come here to fight, he was in a confrontation with a young man in another place. The reason was very simple. Jiang Chen had just walked over to ask for directions, but the other party's attitude was very arrogant. Jiang Chen had only snorted a few times before he was scolded and looked down upon by the other party. As a result, Jiang Chen wasn't willing to give up. Just like that, the two of them faced each other near a pavilion in the outer court. Many people in the surroundings also saw it and gathered around at this moment. Isn't that guy Jiang Chen? What's he doing here instead of arranging a battle with Jun Lingtian today? Don't mention Jun Lingtian. Look at who that person is. The one ranked second in the outer court, Jiang Zixio. Someone said, with that guy's strength, he could have entered the inner court long ago, but I don't know why he stayed in the outer court all this time. Hiss, this Jiang Chen really knows how to cause trouble. Many people exclaimed softly. They didn't expect that Jiang Chen didn't go to the battle, but went against the ranked second in the outer court, Jiang Zixio here. One had to know that Jiang Zixio's temper was famous in the outer court for being explosive. With just a few words, he would explode with vulgarities and attack people at the slightest provocation. Ever since Jiang Zixio entered Heavenspan Court, the number of disciples who died in his hands was at least 50, if not 100. This guy absolutely belonged to the killer class in the outer court. Even someone like Jun Lingtian had to retreat 3 feet away when encountering Jiang Zixio. Where did this lousy thing come from? A lesser chief god dares to talk to me so close? You really think too highly of yourself? At this moment, Jiang Zixio had a look of contempt as he said, in the Heavenspan Court's outer court, there's only one person who can talk to me, and you aren't one of them. I say, I just came over to ask for directions. Look at you. What are you pretending for? What's with being so arrogant? Jiang Chen's expression was dark. He just couldn't understand. Were all the disciples of Heavenspan Court like this? He was just asking for directions, and he was mocked? He even gave him a good scolding. Now, Jiang Chen had originally planned to leave, but this Jiang Zixio refused to let him go. Since he refused to let him go, then fine, he would fight. Who are you? Who am I? High and low statuses are different. When you talk to me, not only do you have to raise your head, you even have to kneel. Jiang Zixio was very arrogant. This was well known in the outer court. Sometimes, even the outer court elders would get a headache when they saw Jiang Zixio. Yet this guy's identity was not ordinary. Even the outer court elders didn't want to care about him. As time passed, this Jiang Zixio became more and more arrogant, almost out of control. I'll give you a chance now. Kneel. Jiang Zixio raised his eyebrows. If you kneel, I can forgive your disrespect toward me. I'll kneel your mother. Jiang Chun was also furious. He was just asking for directions. How could such lousy things come out of it? Hearing this, Jiang Zixio's eyes flashed coldly. He didn't say anything else and immediately rushed out. He was like a giant koan that had come out of the sea. While dashing forward, he turned into a rock with golden wings. He opened his arms, which looked like a pair of wings. With a golden radiance, he struck at Jiang Chen's head. He used a killing move right away. This Jiang Zixio's murderous nature is really strong. Isn't that so? The number of Sky Garden disciples who died in his hands is probably close to 100. Many people cried out in surprise, thinking that Jiang Zixio was going to have another dead soul under his hands today. At this moment, Jiang Chun was fearless. His expression was calm, and the divine power in his body surged. He punched out, and the fist turned into a dragon. With a dragon's roar, it blocked Jiang Zixio's attack. However, Jiang Zixio's attack was not so simple. Suddenly, tentacles appeared on his body, and each tentacle had a strange eye. The tentacles danced, and as the eyes opened and closed, the wind, rain, and thunder exploded. For a moment, it was as if a lightning tribulation had struck, and the violent divine power spread out wantonly. You're just a piece of trash. In my eyes, you're not even an ant, Jiang Zixio said coldly. Looking carefully, a shadow appeared behind him, and it looked like a big meat shio. Jiang Chen also saw it, and his expression became strange. Isn't this the King Jiang clan? Jiang Zixio. Tentacles, eyes, this guy can't really be from the Jiang clan, right? Jiang Chen muttered. Chapter 1151. Jiang Chun was now the representative of the Jiang clan in the outside world. His status was so high that ordinary members of the Jiang clan could not compare to him. And now, it was such a coincidence that he had met a member of the Jiang clan. However, Jiang Chun did not have time to explain. The divine power in his body surged, and the shadow of a dragon appeared behind him, and a tiger appeared in front of him. With the shadow of the dragon and tiger on his body, Jiang Chun waved his fists and punched out, shattering all the wind, clouds, and thunder that were falling. However, as half of the divine power in his body had been absorbed by the Emperor's Vine and the Undying Bird, Jiang Chun was a little weak after a few breaths. In fact, there were even a few wounds on his body. Even his internal organs were badly shaken. As for Jiang Zixio, his attacks were getting more and more vicious, and each of his attacks was fatal. A thunderbolt rolled down and shattered the shadow of the dragon and tiger on Jiang Chen's body. The thunderbolt did not slow down and went straight for Jiang Chen's glabella. What a sin! Jiang Chen screamed. If not for the fact that he only had half of his divine power left, he would not have been beaten to such a state. At this moment, Jiang Chen moved sideways and dodged the attack. He formed a seal with both hands and wanted to use the forbidden art. After all, his divine power was not complete. Only the forbidden art might be able to defeat Jiang Zixio. However, before he could weave the madras successfully, many tentacles dashed over like chains. Jiang Chun felt comfortable in an instant. Moreover, there were small holes on the tentacles. They bit Jiang Chen's body and devoured his essence, qi, and spirit, as well as the divine power in his body. None of those who died in Jiang Zixio's hands had a good ending. They were all eaten by him. That's too cruel. A clan like the Jiang clan should not exist in this world. Many people sighed, and some covered their eyes, thinking that this scene was too cruel. Jiang Chun was also shocked. His body shook, and the divine power in his body burst out, but he could not break free from the chains formed by the tentacles. The divine power in his body was constantly being devoured, and even his essence, qi, and spirit were flowing away. If this continued, Jiang Chun would be devoured sooner or later. Hey, Brother Three Wisps, please help me. If I die, where are you going to find a home? Jiang Chun thought to himself. He wanted the 3 wisps of chaotic chi to help him. However, the 3 wisps of chaotic chi did not react this time. It was as if they knew that Jiang Chun wanted to kill them. Jiang's help this time, it did not work. Even the lotus had stopped swaying, as if it was waiting for Jiang Chun's death quietly. Million transformations, heavenly lamp. At this moment, Jiang Chun became anxious, and he used his holy will to call out the myriad transformations heavenly lamp. However, the million transformations heavenly lamp did not move, as if it was imprisoned. For a moment, Jiang Chun's heart turned cold. However, just as Jiang Chun thought that he could not be saved this time, the million transformations heavenly lamp suddenly burst out with boundless divine light. Then, a black shadow appeared on Jiang Chun's body. The black shadow was holding the million transformations heavenly lamp. In the next moment, a terrifying and vast energy rushed into Jiang Chun's body. After circulating through his limbs and bones, Jiang Chun's body shook slightly, and the chains on his body were all broken. At the same time, Jiang Chun looked a little dazed, as if he had become a different person. He stood on the spot, and the black shadow merged with him. He held the million transformations heavenly lamp in his hand. When his eyes opened and closed, there seemed to be a long river of time flowing in the depths of his eyes. Boom! Then, Jiang Chun raised his hand and waved. The million transformations heavenly lamp burst out with divine light, and a stream of fire burst out from the lamp and hit Jiang Zixio directly. Poof! Jiang Zixio could not dodge in time. To be precise, he did not even think of dodging at all. In his eyes, how much damage could a lesser chief god's attack do to him? However, no one expected that this stream of fire would suppress him directly to the ground. In fact, his injuries were extremely serious. He kept coughing up blood, and his entire body was burning with flames. After a few breaths, Jiang Zixio let out a scream. He had actually been broken into his true form. A big piece of meat covered with eyes. Tentacles kept waving about, trying to extinguish the flames on his body. The Jiang clan is really ugly. So disgusting. Many people's hair stood on end. For some people, it was their first time seeing the Jiang clan's true form, and they immediately felt disgusted. At this moment, Jiang Chun was still in a daze. He held the million transformations heavenly lamp and stared at Jiang Zixio with an icy gaze. After a few breaths, for some reason, Jiang Chun looked down at his hands and murmured, "So, I haven't returned yet." As soon as he said that, a hint of clarity appeared in Jiang Chun's eyes. The million transformations heavenly lamp in his hand also returned to the spiritual world. At the same time, the black shadow disappeared and turned into the lamp bearer, also returning to the spiritual world. At this moment, Jiang Chun came back to his senses. He looked at Jiang Zixio, who had reverted to his true form, and couldn't help but be stunned. "I did it?" Jiang Chun blinked, wondering what had happened just now. That feeling was familiar. That power seemed to have originated from his true form. "If not for the fact that you're from the Jiang clan, I would kill you today." At this moment, Jiang Chun waved his palm and extinguished the million transformations heavenly lamp on Jiang Zixio. Then he walked up to him, glanced at the big piece of meat, and asked, "Do you know who I am?" "Brat, I won't let you off." Jiang Zixio roared angrily. After the flame on his body was extinguished, he turned back into his human form. Then he stood up, and the divine power in his body erupted. Scarlet eyes appeared beside him. "Didn't your ancestor tell you? Now, there's a person called Jiang Chun, who is the representative of your Jiang clan," Jiang Chun said angrily. Then he pointed at himself and said, "I am that Jiang Chun." As soon as he said that, Jiang Zixio was stunned. The Jiang clan had informed him a long time ago that the Jiang clan had recruited a representative, and they had also told him that once he met Jiang Chun, He must be polite to him and mustn't be rude. But he didn't expect to meet Jiang Chun here. This just now. Jiang Zixio's face turned pale. He knew very well that Jiang Chun, the representative, was appointed by the clan leader of the Jiang clan. Seeing Jiang Chun was like seeing the clan leader of the Jiang clan. When he thought about how he almost swallowed Jiang Chun, Jiang Zixio felt a chill down his spine, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. It's okay. You didn't know me before, so let's forget about it. Jiang Chun looked at Jiang Zixio's frightened expression and couldn't help but feel happy. It seemed that the Jiang clan didn't lie to him. His identity as the representative was indeed useful. Your Honor, I'm sorry for offending you before. Jiang Zixio hurriedly bowed and heaved a sigh of relief. If Jiang Chun blamed him, he didn't dare to say no. Chapter 1152. At this moment, Jiang Zixio didn't even dare to breathe loudly. After all, this person in front of him was a representative personally appointed by the patriarch. At the same time, Jiang Zixio was also shocked. He couldn't imagine how a lesser chief god could have such strength. Just now, when that black shadow appeared on Jiang Chun's body, Jiang Zixio's heart palpitated, as though he was facing an insufferably arrogant monarch. That feeling was indescribable. His body couldn't help but tremble, and he almost knelt down. Let me ask you something. How do I get to Heavenly Heart's Peak? Jiang Chun asked. He raised his head and glanced at the sun, secretly thinking that he was about to miss the time. I'll take you there, Jiang Zixio said hurriedly. Then, under Jiang Zixio's guidance, the two of them walked towards Heavenly Heart's Peak, one in front and one behind. Along the way, many people followed, all of them with astonishment in their eyes. They had all seen the previous battle. Jiang Chun suppressed Jiang Zixio with the power of a lesser chief god. After all, Jiang Zixio's strength was ranked second in the outer courtyard. Now, Jiang Chun had defeated Jiang Zixio. Didn't this mean that he was strong enough to challenge the number one in the outer courtyard? What is he going to do? Don't you know? Jun Lintian challenged Jiang Chun to a duel. Now, Jiang Chun is most likely going to accept the challenge. Many people had strange looks on their faces, especially when they saw Jiang Zixio. None of them knew what to say. Jiang Zixio was extremely strong. Naturally, he was above Jun Lintian. Now that Jiang Chun had defeated Jiang Zixio, then Jun Lintian probably doesn't know about this yet. There'll be a good show to watch later. Hey, look at the relationship between Jiang Chun and Jiang Zixio before. It looked like they were going to fight to the death. Now, the two of them are getting along quite well. I heard that Jun Lintian and Jiang Zixio have some enmity. Later, not long after, under the guidance of Jiang Zixio, Jiang Chun finally arrived at Heavenly Listening Peak. However, a portion of the crowd had already left. After all, no one had expected Jiang Chun to actually accept the challenge. As for Jun Lintian, who was standing on the Heavenly Hearing Peak when he saw Jiang Chun, a surprised look appeared in his eyes. He had not expected that a lower-ranked chief god would actually dare to accept his challenge. Jun Lintian challenged you to a battle? At this moment, Jiang Zixio learned about this matter from the conversations around him. Without waiting for Jiang Chun to speak, Jiang Zixio's face darkened. He raised his head to look at Jun Lintian, who was standing on the Heavenly Hearing Peak, and said disdainfully, Someone like you wants to challenge the representative of my Jiang clan? Are you worthy? The moment he said that, Jun Lintian was stunned. The people around them were even more dumbfounded. Representative? The representative of the Jiang clan? What was going on? One must know that they had never heard of the Jiang clan having a representative. My clan leader personally appointed him. Jiang Zixio raised his chin and looked at Jun Lintian arrogantly. He said disdainfully, with your ability, so what if you've come out of closed-door cultivation now? My clan's representative can suppress you with a wave of his hand. Jiang Zixio, I don't care who he is or what his status is. Since he dares to come today, this battle is unavoidable. Jun Lintian said coldly. There was fear in his eyes when he looked at Jiang Zixio. However, Before Jiang Chun could speak, Jiang Zixio leaped up and rushed to Heavenly Hearing Peak. He raised his brows and said, "You're not qualified to challenge my clan's representative yet. How about I challenge you?" Jun Lingtian's face fell immediately when he heard that. He, Jun Lingtian, was ranked far below Jiang Zixio in the outer court. Now, if he fought Jiang Zixio on Heavenly Hearing Peak, then he would definitely die. Thus, Jun Lingtian couldn't agree to it no matter what. "I'll pick a time to fight you after my battle with him ends," Jun Lingtian said in a low voice. "Jun Lingtian, I advise you to come down quickly. Jiang Chun and Jiang Zixio fought just now, and Jiang Zixio was suppressed by Jiang Chun. TSK. Look at you. Why are you still standing there on Heavenly Hearing Peak? Waiting for death? Hurry up and come down." Right at this moment, those people that followed him all the way here spoke. Some were reminding him out of kindness while others were mocking him. Jun Lingtian's face fell completely when he heard that. He knew that he was no match for Jiang Zixio. Now that he heard those words, how was he going to fight Jiang Chun? One must know that once a fight broke out on Heavenly Hearing Peak, only one person could survive. "Is what you said true?" Jun Lingtian asked a young man who was on good terms with him telepathically. "It's absolutely true. Jiang Chun, a lesser chief god, is not to be underestimated." That person replied telepathically. At this moment, Jun Lingtian stood on Heavenly Hearing Peak in a daze. The wind blew past, and his heart turned cold. How was he going to fight? "I said, sorry for making you wait. I'll come up right away," Jiang Chun said softly and was about to get up. However, before he could even take a step forward, Jun Lingtian ran down from Heaven's Lament Peak and left without even looking back. "Huh? What Jun Lingtian? He's just a coward. Establishing dominance? How dare he try to establish his authority like this? Haha, he said that he's going to the outer court to challenge Jiang Chun to a battle, but in the end, he ran away." At this moment, mocking laughter came from all around. Jiang Chun also chuckled a few times, secretly thinking that Jun Lingtian had lost a lot of face this time. At the same time, Jiang Chun was also puzzled. Was the black shadow on him really the lamp bearer when he was fighting with Jiang Zixio previously? He secretly tried to use the lamp bearer, but discovered that not only was there no reaction from the lamp bearer, but even the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was motionless. No way. Is this lamp bearer a part of the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp, or is it a living being that's residing in the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp? Jiang Chun was alarmed and secretly thought that he had to get to the bottom of this matter quickly. After all, this was a matter of great importance. "I still have to make a trip to the Sutra Library," Jiang Chun thought. However, the few tokens in his hands had already run out of usage. If he wanted to go now, he could only, Jiang Zixio, do you still have usage on your token? "I want to make a trip to the Sutra Library," Jiang Chun asked. When Jiang Zixio heard that, he could not help but be stunned for a moment. Then he took out his interspatial ring and fumbled around. After a few breaths, only to see him take out more than 100 tokens and hand them all to Jiang Chun, saying, "These are the tokens that I've collected over the years. They should all have usage on them." Tycoon. Jiang Chun's eyes turned green. So many tokens. How many disciples did he have to snatch? Of course, Jiang Chun did not know that the owners of these tokens were all dead. Not a single one survived. They were all swallowed by Jiang Zixio. If you become an inner court disciple, there's no limit to the usage. Jiang Zixio said, "With your strength, it's enough to apply to enter the inner court. At that time, you don't have to worry about the usage." "Inner court? My cultivation is too low. If I go to the inner court, won't I be bullied by others?" Jiang Chun said softly, "I'd better stay in the outer court. This place suits me." Chapter 1153. Although there were many disciples in Heavenly Garden and it was almost full, there were very few inner court disciples. Heavenly Garden was not very strict on outer court disciples, but it was rather harsh on inner court disciples' talent, aptitude, and strength. Just like Jun Lingtian, he had only just reached the standard to enter the inner court. However, the elders in the inner court would definitely have some opinions about Jun Lingtian after today's battle cowardice. He would probably have to wait for a while more if he wanted to enter the inner court. As for Jiang Chun, although his current cultivation level was not high, the key was his strength, a lesser chief god who could suppress a godly king on the astral ranking. Even if his cultivation level was insufficient, he could still enter the inner court. However, Jiang Chun really did not want to enter the inner court. He also knew that the inner court was full of powerhouses, and each of them was a prodigy of their generation. He could do well in the outer court, but it did not mean that he could do well in the inner court. In addition, the competition in Heavenly Garden was cruel, and lives could be lost at every turn. Jiang Chun did not want to take this risk. It was so comfortable to stay in the outer court. Why go to the inner court and suffer? However, when these words were heard by the surrounding people, many of their faces darkened. They glanced at Jiang Zixio, secretly thinking that this guy could have entered the inner court long ago, but he refused to leave the outer court. Who knew how many outer court disciples he had harmed? Now, Jiang Zixio had not been sent away, and Jiang Chen had come. If these two Jiangs kept staying in the outer court, how were the others supposed to survive? Heavenly Garden doesn't have any hard and fast rules. If they insist on not entering the inner court, there's nothing we can do. One Jiang Zixio is enough, and now there's another Jiang Chun. How are we supposed to survive in the outer court? Isn't it too dangerous? Many people felt bitter, thinking that they had to keep a low profile in the outer court from now on, especially not provoking these two Jiangs. Why are you going to the Sutra Depository? Do you need Dao techniques? Or cultivation techniques? Jiang Zixio asked. Look for some ancient books. Jiang Chun did not go into detail. After all, his current situation was not very good. The myriad transformations, heavenly lamp, and the 3 strands of chaotic chi were really giving him a headache. If you can't find the ancient book you want in the Sutra Depository of the outer court, then you can only go to the inner court. Jiang Zixio said, the cultivation resources of the inner yard are several times more than those of the outer yard. Whether it's the cultivation rooms, the Sutra Depository, or the elixirs, the outer yard can't compare. So what? Didn't you stay in the outer court all the same? Jiang Chen curled his lips. As soon as he said this, Jiang Zixio smiled awkwardly and said, Isn't it good to be a local tyrant in the outer court? What's the point of fighting with those monsters in the inner yard? So, why go to the inner yard for no reason? Jiang Chen muttered. After that, Jiang Chun took a bunch of tokens and entered the Sutra Depository in the outer court. This time, due to the sufficient number of times, Jiang Chun could stay in the Sutra Depository for a long period of time, enough for him to flip through the ancient books. Time flowed by, all the way until 3 days later. On this day, Jiang Chun finally found some records about the myriad transformations heavenly lamp in an ancient book. The myriad transformations heavenly lamp was the #1 Tao soul in the world. This was indeed true. However, there were records in this ancient book that it was said that the myriad transformations heavenly lamp was once tainted with an ominous aura in a certain era, as if it was contaminated by something. And before that, the myriad transformations heavenly lamp did not need to light up the lamp wick. But after that, every person who possessed the myriad transformations heavenly lamp needed others to offer sacrifices before they could light up the lamp wick and awaken the myriad transformations heavenly lamp. Furthermore, according to the records in the ancient book, there was a mysterious person in the later generations who also possessed the myriad transformations heavenly lamp, but encountered an ominous aura in his later years and suddenly disappeared. Some people said that that person might have been swallowed by the myriad transformations heavenly lamp, and some people said that that person went to another world. Why didn't it mention anything about the lamp bearer? Jiang Chen frowned and flipped through this ancient book, but did not find any clues about the lamp bearer. Could it be that from ancient times until now, I'm the only one who has advanced the myriad transformations heavenly lamp? Jiang Chun thought to himself that there was such a possibility. After all, the myriad transformations heavenly lamp was the #1 Tao soul since ancient times, and he had never heard of anyone who could advance it. What does this mean? After another half a day, Jiang Chun found a very ancient book that also recorded some things about the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp. According to the records in this ancient book, the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was not a lamp, but a sealed item. The lamp was a cage, and the lamp wick was the sealed item. According to the records in the ancient book, there was once a great sage who deduced that the lamp wick of the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was like a heart, but also like an eye. And the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was like a cage, imprisoning and sealing the lamp wick. However, all of this did not make sense. After all, if the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was really a cage, then how did it become a Tao soul? Connecting to the netherworld, illuminating the past and present, holding a green lamp to guide the souls of the dead. On the last page of this ancient book, Jiang Chun saw this line of words. He looked at it for a long time, but he also could not figure out what this line of words meant. Several breaths later, Jiang Chun was melancholy. The scriptures in the outer court scripture pavilion were too few, and the ancient books were also too few. Some ancient books could even be found in the outside world, and were not considered rare. Perhaps, only by going to the inner court could one find clues about some lamp bearers. At least for now, everything is fine. Jiang Chun sighed, but he felt very upset in his heart. He felt that his body had some changes now, especially his soul. Not only did the chaos green lotus appear, even the myriad transformations' heavenly lamp was not under his control anymore. His lifeblood seemed to be controlled by someone else. This feeling was very uncomfortable, and even made Jiang Chun's heart palpitate. In this life, what on earth happened to me? I keep feeling that all kinds of strange things are happening to me, Jiang Chun said softly. He had a feeling that everything that he had encountered now was arranged by someone in the unseen world. The path that he was taking now, and some of the people that he met, might have been predestined a long time ago. Could it be that this was fate? But Jiang Chun never believed in fate. My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. Oh, what a cliché. Jiang Chun curled his lips, but he was laughing bitterly in his heart. Yes, his fate was not in the hands of the heavens. However, there were too many mysteries now, and he did not know what to do next. If he took the wrong path, everything would be over. Forget it, forget it. Now I will cultivate in the heavenly garden and find a chance to go to the southern star area, Jiang Chun said softly, and then he walked out of the scripture pavilion. As soon as he came out of the scripture pavilion, Jiang Chun saw a group of people carrying red wooden boxes, flying over the outer court and toward the inner court. Moreover, the destination of this group of people should be the main hall of the inner court, dressed in red and purple. Are they here to get married? Jiang Chun frowned. The cultivation of this group of people was very high, and they were mainly dressed in red. Moreover, the robe of the leader was engraved with the golden word she. Chapter 1154. Jiang Chun was puzzled. Who was that? Had he come to the sky-reaching garden to get married? You finally came out. I was looking for you. At this moment, Jiang Zixio walked over. He seemed to have been waiting outside the hidden scriptures pavilion for a long time. What's the matter? Jiang Chun asked. As the representative of the Jiang clan, there are some things that require your presence, Jiang Zixio said. You saw that group of people just now, right? They're here to invite a few elders and some disciples of the hidden scriptures pavilion to attend the wedding. Oh, then I have to go too? Jiang Chun asked. Of course, Jiang Zixio said angrily. Do you know who's getting married? The young master of Zhou Prefecture in the Eastern Star Zone. The Zhou clan can be said to be a major clan in the Eastern Star Field. This time around, the Zhou clan's youngest son is getting married, and they've sent out invitations to many people, Jiang Zixio said. With our Jiang clan status and identity, we've naturally received the invitation as well. So, the elders of the Jiang clan are not going and want me to go instead? Jiang Chun asked. When Jiang Zixio heard this, he couldn't help but nod and say, You also know that my Jiang clan's reputation isn't very good outside. If those few old men from my clan go, I'm afraid they'll be frightened, so it's most suitable for you to go." Without waiting for Jiang Chen to speak, Jiang Zixio's face darkened and he muttered, "That young master of Zhou Prefecture. His talent is very ordinary. I don't know what kind of luck he has to be able to marry a woman from the Six Realms." I heard that the woman's appearance is unparalleled. Before Jiang Zixio could finish, Jiang Chen waved his hand and interrupted. "What does her appearance have to do with me? I'll go." However, after Jiang Zixio's next sentence, Jiang Chen's face instantly darkened. That woman is not only beautiful, but also very charming. Someone had seen it before. Those eyes seemed to be able to hook souls. Jiang Zixio said. He winked at Jiang Chen and said, "Are you tempted? You'll be able to see it then." Jiang Chen really didn't care at first, but after hearing Jiang Zixio's description, he suddenly had a bad feeling. From the Six Realms? Does the Great Thousand World not reject the living beings of the Six Realms? Jiang Chen asked. Not at all. In fact, the vast Thousand Realms all hope to take in a few creatures from the Six Realms so that they can find some clues about invincibility from their bloodlines and souls, Jiang Zixio explained. Oh, as long as you don't reject it, Jiang Chen said softly, but he was very unhappy in his heart. The so-called not rejecting, it was just that they didn't kill those people from the Six Realms. Jiang Chen knew very well what the people of the vast Thousand World were planning. Although it sounded nice, they were actually raising them like livestock. They wanted to find some clues about invincibility from the bloodlines and souls of the creatures from the Six Realms. That feeling, that kind of life was actually worse than death. By the way, from what you said just now, is that woman really that beautiful and charming? Jiang Chen asked. What's her name? I don't remember her name, but I think her surname is Nailin. Jiang Zixio said. Surname Nailin? She's very charming? At this moment, Jiang Chen directly exploded. He didn't believe that there could be such a coincidence in this world. Surname Nailin, beautiful, charming, and from the Six Realms? Jiang Chen didn't need to think too much to know that the woman Jiang Zixio was talking about was most likely Nailin Meir. However, shouldn't Nailin Meir and the others be in the ancestral land of Buddhism now? How could she be married? Moreover, with Jiang Chen's understanding of his disciple, how could Nailin Meir be married? I heard that the Buddhist emperor brought a lot of people from the Six Realms, and they were all living in the ancestral land of Buddhism. The woman you mentioned, is she also in the ancestral land of Buddhism? Jiang Chen asked. She used to be, but those old baldies of Buddhism look very upright. But in fact, they have more dirty thoughts in their hearts than we do. Jiang Zixio said in a deep voice. This time, Buddhism most likely made a deal with Zhou Prefecture and betrothed that woman to the young master of Zhou Prefecture. Buddhism can make the decision for that woman? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. Is that woman willing? What do you think? Jiang Zixio said angrily. It doesn't matter whether she's willing or not. Even if she's not willing, can she resist? On one side is Buddhism, and on the other is Zhou Prefecture. She's a woman, and she's from the Six Realms. Can she resist? When Jiang Chen heard this, he couldn't help but feel a trace of sadness in his heart. His home was gone, and now that he was in the upper-class world, he had become a bargaining chip in the hands of others. This very good. At this moment, Jiang Chen slowly closed his eyes and whispered, Since Zhou Prefecture invited the Jiang clan, then of course I have to go. I'll go with you, Jiang Zixio said. As he spoke, Jiang Zixio's expression suddenly changed because he noticed that Jiang Chen was emitting killing intent. You? What's the matter? Who provoked you? Jiang Zixio said in a low voice. Did Jun Lintian come to find trouble with you again? No, I just thought of a few enemies at the moment. Jiang Chen whispered and quickly put away his killing intent. Will the Great Void Race go? Of course, the Great Void Race's status in the upper-class world is similar to the Jiang clans. We've all received an invitation, so how can the Great Void Race not receive one? Jiang Zixio muttered, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. I heard that the Prince of the Great Void Race is in Tongtian Garden. If I meet him, when the time comes, the three of us will go together, Jiang Chen said. As soon as he said this, Jiang Zixio was stunned. The three of us? Prince? Jiang Zixio frowned and said, "What's your relationship with the prince? You should know that the Jiang clan and the Great Void Race are old enemies. You should ask your family's elders about this." Jiang Chen whispered, "Now, not only am I the representative of the Jiang clan, but I'm also the highest consecrator of the Great Void Race. I don't care about what's between you and the prince, but in front of me, the two of you should restrain yourselves. Don't make a scene, or I won't be able to help either of you," Jiang Chen said. All right," Jiang Zixio muttered with a strange expression. What was the clan leader doing? Jiang Chen was already the highest consecrator of the Great Void Race. Why did he still choose him as the representative of the Jiang clan? Could it be that there was another purpose? Tell me about Zhou Prefecture. I haven't been to Zhou Prefecture yet, so I don't know much about Zhou Prefecture. Tell me about it, and don't embarrass me when I go there. Jiang Chen said, "I'm now the representative of the Jiang clan. If I embarrass myself, it's the same as embarrassing for the Jiang clan." Chapter 1155. Zhou Prefecture was one of the top clans in the Eastern Star region. There were many experts in the prefecture, including many emperor-level experts. According to legend, one of the ancestors in Zhou Prefecture was suspected to have lived for several generations and was about to break through the shackles to become a transcendent. In recent years, Zhou Prefecture had become more and more high-profile. This made outsiders even more certain that the ancestor in Zhou Prefecture was about to break through and become a transcendent. Most importantly, above Zhou Prefecture, there was the Zhou Tian Cave. That was the existence that allowed Zhou Prefecture to stand tall in the Eastern Star region. The direct descendants of Zhou Prefecture all came from the Zhou Tian Cave. It was an ancient inheritance that had been passed down for several generations. It was precisely because of the support of the Heavenly Cycle Cave abode that the Zhou clan was able to expand in the Eastern Star region and become one of the top clans in the Eastern Star region. I don't know much about the older generation in Zhou Prefecture, but the younger generation in Zhou Prefecture is quite strong, especially the two young masters in Zhou Prefecture. They are very talented and can be called geniuses, Jiang Zixio said. Among them, the young master in Zhou Prefecture was the one who was going to marry Nayland Mayer. His cultivation was also at the Divine King level, but his actual strength was unknown. Zhou Prefecture announced to the public that the young master of the Zhou family was one of the top 3 Divine Kings in terms of strength. However, the young master in Zhou Prefecture had never been tested on the astral list, so his actual strength was unknown. However, since the Zhou clan dared to make such a public announcement, it was likely that the young master of the Zhou clan was very powerful. Otherwise, it would be very embarrassing if they were to be exposed by others. As for the young master in Zhou Prefecture, there was a saying. The young master in Zhou Prefecture was already a godly venerable and had the Tao fruit of Supreme. He was known as the person who was most likely to become a transcendent in the past few generations in Zhou Prefecture. This person was arrogant and conceited. He disdained to make a move against ordinary people. But according to Jiang Zixio, the eldest young master of Zhou Prefecture was indeed powerful, but not as powerful as the rumors said. If their cultivation levels were similar, Jiang Zixio believed that he could suppress the other party. Zhou Prefecture, Jiang Chen whispered. Then he frowned slightly and asked, "What's the background of the Zhou Tian Cave behind Zhou Prefecture? How does it compare with the Jiang clan?" "That's hard to say," Jiang Zixio said modestly, which was rare for him. The Zhou Tian Cave is a top force that stands side by side with the ancestral land of Buddhism. It should be similar to the Jiang clan. However, even if the Zhou Tian Cave has 10 times the courage, it won't dare to start a war with the Jiang clan, Jiang Zixio said. "Oh, why? Since their strength is similar, if we really push the Zhou Tian Cave into a corner, will they retreat?" Jiang Chun asked doubtfully. "You don't know about this." Jiang Zixio smiled and said, "My ancestor is smart. Although the Jiang clan is indeed an evil race, it has now been converted into a demon race. The Jiang clan's current status is not ordinary. The evil race still treats us as an evil race, but the demon race wants to be on good terms with us. Therefore, once the Zhou Tian cave starts a war with the Jiang clan, the evil race and the demon race can't sit idly by. When the time comes, this matter will involve a lot of people. The Zhou Tian cave won't be able to bear it. Jiang Chun was also stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that the Jiang clan would have such benefits after being converted into a demon race. He had to admit that the clan leader of the Jiang clan was really astute. "Okay, I got it," Jiang Chun whispered and said, "When do we leave for Zhou Prefecture?" "Now," Jiang Zixio said. "There is a transmission array in Tongtian Garden. Once you step on the transmission array, you can reach the mountain gate of Zhou Prefecture in a few breaths. It's very convenient." "Oh, that's good," Jiang Chun nodded and said. Jiang Chun originally planned to take the prince with him, but the prince was in seclusion. Jiang Chun shouted a few times outside the cultivation room, but the prince didn't respond. So, he stepped on the transmission array with Jiang Zixio. After a few breaths, when the two of them arrived at the mountain gate of Zhou Prefecture, the place was already packed with people, and all the decorations were mainly red. TSK, TSK, TSK. Zhou Prefecture really put in a lot of effort this time. Not only did they buy a mountain gate and a mansion, but they also invited all the influential figures from all the major sects and forces. Jiang Zixio was speechless. "I heard that many of the younger generation also came this time. Maybe there will be a good show to watch." "I really don't know if there will be a good show to watch," Jiang Chun whispered and looked at Jiang Zixio with a strange expression. He asked, "Can you contact the patriarch of the Jiang clan? It's best if he's an extraordinaire." What do you want to do?" Jiang Zixio was stunned. Then, he remembered the killing intent that erupted from Jiang Chun just now. For a moment, his eyes widened, as if he had understood something. "You are here to cause trouble?" Jiang Zixio asked with a serious expression. "I wouldn't say that I'm here to cause trouble, but there are some things that I can't say," Jiang Chun said in a low voice. "I can ask the elders in the clan to come, but you must take it easy. Today is the big day of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. Don't make a big deal out of it. If that happens, even the Jiang clan won't be able to handle it," Jiang Zixio reminded him. It should be noted that the people who came today from all over Zhou Prefecture were all influential figures, and their cultivation levels were not low. In front of these people, no matter who came, they had to keep a low profile. "Come, let's go in," Jiang Zixio whispered and followed closely beside Jiang Chun. He looked quite nervous. It was only because he had a feeling that Jiang Chun was going to cause a lot of trouble here today. He had already secretly used a secret technique to report this matter to the Jiang clan. Thinking about it, those elders were most likely on their way here, right now. Have you heard? Some time ago, Suzuki Valley caught a man and a woman who escaped from the 6 realms. I've heard. The man is ordinary, but the woman, I heard that she's extremely beautiful. After entering Zhou Prefecture, Jiang Chun and Jiang Zixio were led by a housekeeper to a large courtyard. There were tables and chairs in the courtyard, and there were also fine wine and delicacies. Many people were sitting together and talking about the weather. Why are there so many young people here? Jiang Chun looked around and found that although the courtyard was very big and could accommodate thousands of people, it seemed that they were all young people. The young people are here, and the elders are in another courtyard. Jiang Zixio explained, Zhou Prefecture is very considerate. They were afraid that the young people and the elders would feel uncomfortable together, so they separated them. Oh, Jiang Chun whispered. He and Jiang Zixio found a table and sat down looking calm. However, his divine thoughts were covering the people at the table next to him. Suzuki Valley is really lucky to have caught 2 illegal immigrants from the 6 realms. Don't mention it. Don't you know how Suzuki Valley does things? Those 2 creatures from the 6 realms are now in Suzuki Valley. I'm afraid they're better off dead than alive. The people at the table next to him were not talking loudly, but they could not escape Jiang Chen's ears. Chapter 1156. Those who could be invited to the wedding were all important figures with a certain reputation. It was the same even for the younger generation. Each of them was outstanding and talented. Many of them were even successors of sects. When this group of people gathered together, they would either be alone and silent, minding their own business, or they would gather in groups of 3 to 5 acquaintances and discuss some romantic matters. When Jiang Chun entered the courtyard, he heard about the living beings of the 6 realms. At this moment, he sat quietly and listened to the conversation at the table next to him. Suzuki Valley. Isn't that the sect that Mu Fengyin is from? Jiang Chun thought to himself. Jiang Chun had heard about the Suzuki Valley. This sect style of doing things was not good. It was controversial, especially its disciples. Each of them was arrogant and domineering. No one knew where they got their courage and confidence from. However, although the Suzuki Valley style of doing things was not good, not many people dared to say it to their face. After all, the Suzuki Valley had formed an alliance with a few sections. Its foundation and strength were not inferior to some of the top forces. Hey, isn't she here? Look, that woman is the one that was caught in the Suzuki Valley. She's from the 6 realms. All of a sudden, a commotion broke out in the area. Everyone stood up and looked toward the entrance of the courtyard. Jiang Chun also turned around. When he saw Mu Fengyin and Mu Fengxue, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Jiang Chun did not have any ill intentions toward Mu Fengxue. However, when it came to Mu Fengyin, Jiang Chun really wanted to kill him with one slap. However, Jiang Chun's expression was very calm. No one could tell whether he was happy, angry, or sad. However, his heart was burning with anger. This was because there were 2 people beside Mu Fengyin. Jiang Chun was very familiar with one of them. It was Luoshan. As for the other person, although Jiang Chun had never met him, he had heard that he was most likely Luoshan's husband, the only surviving descendant of the Pingtian clan, Beta Heike. Back then, the Pingtian clan had fought to the death and defeated the Netherworld Emperor. Their blood had spilled all over the 9 firmament's divine world. Their glory and achievements could not be considered small. But now, Jiang Chun felt a little sad. This was because Beta Heike was not in a good state at the moment. She even looked a little miserable. His clothes were tattered and his legs were chopped off. At this moment, he was actually using his hands to support his body. His cultivation had also been sealed. His face was pale, and his hair was stained with blood. Obviously, after he and Luoshan came to the Great Thousand World, their lives were not very good. Here, Beta Heike did not have any foundation, and no one protected her. Although she was strong enough, she could not compete with the Suzuki Valley. Now, she had fallen into the hands of the Suzuki Valley. Naturally, one could imagine how miserable her life was. However, Jiang Chun could see that there was still hope in Beta Heike's eyes. That stubbornness and pride had not disappeared. They had just been hidden. Otherwise, after suffering such humiliation, an ordinary person would have committed suicide long ago. Everyone, I am Mu Fengyin of the Suzuki Valley. It is an honor to meet all of you today. At this moment, Mu Fengyin's face was full of smiles. He was usually arrogant and unruly, but at this moment, he was very humble. After all, in this place, who did not have a higher status than him, who was not stronger than him? Mu Fengyin, the woman beside you, is not bad. Can you part with her? Someone said bluntly, my clan has recently been looking for a creature from the 6 realms. We can make a deal with the Suzuki Valley. My friend, you must be joking. These 2 are now the servants of the Suzuki Valley. They have signed a contract and are not for sale, Mu Fengyin said. After saying that, he glanced at Beta Heike with a hint of mockery in his eyes and said, Dog, have you not seen the world? I heard that the 6 realms are burial grounds and are extremely dirty. You have probably never been to a place like this in your life, right? Hearing this, Beta Heike did not say anything. She only silently supported her body with her hands. Her legs were cut off, and her cultivation was sealed. It was difficult for her to rebuild her physical body. In any case, he is a creature from the 6 realms. Treating him like this, isn't it inappropriate? Someone frowned and said, shouldn't you at least let him clean up? Today is the wedding of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. It's not very polite of you to let him attend the wedding in such a state. My friend, you are right, Mu Fengyan said with a smile. It's just a pity that the creatures from the six realms can only be slaves in the upper-class world. Being able to live and feed them is already a blessing from the Suzuki Valley. As for this outfit, if it weren't for the fact that I feel that it is indeed indecent to be naked, I wouldn't even let him wear any clothes, Mu Fengyan said. In addition to his arrogance, his words were also full of disdain for the six realms. If my cultivation is restored, killing you will be as easy as slaughtering a dog, Beta Heike said coldly. With her temper, she naturally could not stand being ridiculed continuously. Mu Fengyan seemed to be used to Beta Heike's rebuttal. After chuckling, he directly slapped Beta Heike's cheek. Without his cultivation and divine power to protect his body, Beta Heike's entire face swelled up after being slapped. His throat gurgled, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. However, he did not make a sound. Go over there and kneel down to these friends one by one. Otherwise, Mu Fengyan seemed to be having fun and kicked Beta Heike's body. His eyebrows twitched as if he was enjoying the feeling. Beta Heike's eyes flashed fiercely. He supported himself with both hands and did not move. A trace of gloominess appeared in his eyes. It was as if the last trace of hope and stubbornness in his heart was about to be extinguished. All creatures in the world are born different. Some are born to be kings, and some become bandits. At this moment, Jiang Chun suddenly stood up. He narrowed his eyes and walked slowly toward Mu Fengyan. At this moment, Luoshan's expression froze slightly. This was because he was too familiar with Jiang Chun. Others might not be able to recognize Jiang Chun, but Luoshan could see through him at a glance, especially when Jiang Chun was angry. His eyes seemed to embrace the sun, moon, and stars, and there would be a cold glint in them. Mu Fengyan, I've taken a fancy to these two servants of yours today. At this moment, Jiang Chun walked up to Mu Fengyan and pointed at his nose. He said directly, I'll ask you one thing. Will you give me what I want? Mu Fengyan's face darkened when he heard this. He had been so focused on showing off that he didn't even notice that Jiang Chun was here. At that moment, facing Jiang Chun directly, he felt a chill in his heart. This fiend, how could he attend the wedding of the young master of Zhou Prefecture? Mu Fengyan was puzzled, but seeing that there were so many people around, he became more confident. He didn't believe that Jiang Chun would dare to cause trouble at the wedding of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. Jiang Chun, who do you think you are? I can't do anything to you in Tongtian Garden. After all, there are rules in Tongtian Garden. But outside of Tongtian Garden, do you know that with a single order, the experts of the Suzuki Valley can suppress you in an instant? Mu Fengyan said coldly, killing intense surfacing in his eyes. Chapter 1157. Mu Fengyan was very confident. He did not know Jiang Chen's current identity. Moreover, the Suzuki Valley was becoming more and more powerful. Many organizations wanted to befriend the Suzuki Valley. If he were to suffer a loss here, many of the people present would surely step in to help him. Moreover, one of the emperors of the Suzuki Valley was in another courtyard. As long as he called, the emperor would surely come over. However, Mu Fengyan was also somewhat fearful. After all, when he had first met Jiang Chun, the emperor, the ninth princess, had been by Jiang Chen's side. So, what if he has an emperor by his side? I have one too. Moreover, this is Zhou Prefecture. How dare he behave so atrociously? Mu Fengyan thought to himself. When he looked at Jiang Chun, the murderous intent in his eyes grew even more intense. Murderous intent? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows and said contemptuously, If you dare to make a move here, I'll dare to kill you. Who's this kid? Today is the wedding day of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. How dare he spill blood here? Hiss. He seems to be on good terms with Jiang Zixiu. Could he be from the Jiang clan as well? There were many onlookers around them. Many of them were speculating about Jiang Chen's identity. However, these people were all geniuses and outstanding talents in their organizations. Many of them despised Jiang Chun when they saw that he was about the same age as them, but only a lower-rank lord-level cultivation base. So what if he was from the Jiang clan? In this era, if one's abilities were insufficient, one would be looked down upon no matter where one went. Moreover, as time passed, some people could already tell that Jiang Chun was a human. As a result, even more people looked down on Jiang Chun. Some even mocked him. How could a lower-rank lord-level cultivator at his age be shameless enough to attend the wedding of the young master of Zhou Prefecture? Jiang Chun. These two belong to the Suzuki Valley. Are you trying to rob them in front of so many people today? Mu Fengyan said contemptuously. Even if I did, would you dare to take them? Why wouldn't I dare? A cold glint appeared in Jiang Chen's eyes. In particular, when he saw Beta Haiki's current state, fury burned in his heart. The Pingtian clan had done so much for the Six Realms and sacrificed so much. Now their entire clan was gone. That was an achievement that could not be described with words. Now, all the people of the Six Realms should treat the Pingtian clan with reverence. But now, the last descendant of the Pingtian clan had ended up in such a state. To Jiang Chun, who was also from the Six Realms, this was too unbearable. The fury in his heart could not be quenched. I just happen to have a few subordinates with me. I think these two are not bad. I'm taking them today, Jiang Chun said. Naturally, he could not reveal that he was also from the Six Realms. When Luoshan heard this, he lowered his head. However, his eyes were filled with excitement and hope. He knew that since Jiang Chun dared to say this today, he had the ability to save them. Now, all they had to do was wait. However, Beta Haiki's expression darkened even more. He did not know Jiang Chen's identity and only thought that Jiang Chun was also from the vast thousand domains. At this moment, when he heard Jiang Chen's words, Beta Haiki's expression darkened completely. He slowly raised his head. His messy hair covered his eyes. There was a trace of gloominess and despair, but there was also anger and unwillingness. I want to live. However, if I continue to live like this, I'd rather die. No one can control my Pingtian clan. Beta Haiki said coldly. Previously, when Beta Haiki was captured by the Suzuki Valley, he had swallowed the humiliation because he wanted to live. As long as he lived, there was hope for revenge. However, in his opinion, there was no hope at all. What he could not let go of the most was that these people from the vast thousand domains treated him like an animal. They were even worse than an animal. Just as he had said, he would rather die than live. Ancestors, forgive Beta Haiki for his incompetence. At this moment, Beta Haiki sighed in his heart. He planned to end his life here. However, at this moment, Jiang Chun directly attacked. Under everyone's shocked gazes, he appeared in front of Mu Fengyan in a flash. Without waiting for Mu Fengyan to react, Jiang Chen's palm pressed down from above, directly hitting the top of Mu Fengyan's head. Boom! Accompanied by an explosion, Mu Fengyan was pressed to the ground. His skull cracked, and blood splattered all over the ground. You dare to attack? Mu Fengyan was shocked. Today was Zhou Prefecture's young master's big day. Jiang Chen's attack was equivalent to spilling blood. On a day like this, spilling blood was a taboo. Why wouldn't I dare to attack? Jiang Chen raised an eyebrow. I've said that these two are mine. With that, Jiang Chen took a step forward and walked over Mu Fengyan to Beta Haiki's side. He communicated with him through divine thought. I'm from the Six Realms, the Six Realms celestial stars. At this moment, Beta Haiki suddenly raised his head. However, he reacted quickly, and despair appeared in his eyes again. He knew that Jiang Chun had said those words earlier, because he did not want to expose his identity. So, how could Beta Haiki allow Jiang Chun to be exposed? Moreover, the only one who could save him now was Jiang Chun. However, Beta Haiki was also very confused. Jiang Chun came from the Six Realms. As a creature of the Six Realms, why did he dare to be so arrogant in the greater world? Even if others did not see through his identity, he would be exposed sooner or later if he continued to be so arrogant. Jiang Chun, today's matter will not rest until one of us is dead. At this moment, Mu Fengyan struggled to stand up. He pointed outside the courtyard and said, "Do you dare to go outside Zhou Prefecture with me? Today, I must kill you." "Why would we go outside Zhou Prefecture? If we want to kill someone, we can do it anytime, anywhere." Jiang Chen joked. "Why? Are you afraid of angering Zhou Prefecture if we make a move here?" After saying that, without waiting for Mu Fengyan to speak, Jiang Chen smiled gently and said, "You're afraid, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid too." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen turned around and stomped his foot, almost crushing Mu Fengyan's head. If Mu Fengxue had not acted in time and pulled Mu Fengyan to the side, Jiang Chen's stomp would have killed Mu Fengyan. "Kid, you've gone too far. Today is the wedding day of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. Whatever grudges you have with Mu Fengyan, you shouldn't settle them here." At this moment, a young man in a golden robe walked out. His expression was calm, and he gave people a feeling that his Taoist techniques were natural. It was as if he was talking about a very insignificant matter. His expression and tone were a little too calm. Of course, to many people, this matter was indeed very ordinary. After all, everyone present was an outstanding genius of the various major forces. However, to Jiang Chen, this matter was enough for him to kill, because that person's name was Beta Heike, and he was the last descendant of the Pingtian clan. Take it easy. After all, it's the wedding day of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. If you stop now, I'll take care of the rest. Even the people of Zhou Prefecture have to give me face. Jiang Zixio reminded Jiang Chen through telepathy when he saw that the matter was getting out of hand. Chapter 1158. Jiang Chen also understood Jiang Zixio, but Jiang Chen really could not let it go just like that. "Don't worry about me." At that moment, Beta Heike suddenly spoke and secretly transmitted her voice with a hint of helplessness. "I know you, the reincarnation of divine King Tianshun from the ninth heaven divine world, but now the 6 realms are gone and we've wandered here. It's not easy to survive. You don't have to take the risk for me. I'll just leave it at that." Hearing that, the anger in Jiang Chen's heart burned even more fiercely. He could not imagine what the last descendant of the Pingtian clan had experienced in the Suzuki Valley to wear away her arrogance and stubbornness. "Mu Fengyan, today I'll settle the score with you. Old and new debts, let's settle them all together." Jiang Chen said softly and walked out step by step. He walked very slowly, but he gave people the feeling that he was going to rule over the world. At that moment, many people had the misconception that the lesser chief god in front of them was like a high and mighty king. Although his cultivation was low, he gave people the feeling that he was unrivaled. What's going on with this person? This aura, this attitude, it's not something an ordinary person can have. Even if he's deliberately pretending, he can't. Many people were shocked and guessed that Jiang Chen could be the descendant of some extraordinary force. One had to know that extraordinary forces, as their name implied, definitely had extraordinaries overseeing them. There were not many such forces in the entire vast 1,000 domains. After all, there were too few extraordinaries. Not every emperor could become an extraordinary. There were thousands of emperors in the vast 1,000 domains, but there were definitely no more than 10 extraordinaries added up. Therefore, every extraordinary represented a piece of heaven, and forces that had extraordinaries were the top of the vast 1,000 domains, existences that stood at the peak of the vast universe. If Jiang Chen was really the descendant of some extraordinary force, then no one present dared to provoke him even if his cultivation was low. Fellow Taoist, did you not listen to my words? However, before Jiang Chen could reach Mu Fengyan, the golden-robed youth stepped forward and stood in front of Jiang Chen. His expression was still calm as he said indifferently, "I'll decide on this matter. Forget it just because you say so. I have old scores with him. Since we've met today, let's settle them together." Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. Since he had already caused trouble that day, he wasn't afraid of making it worse. "Take it easy. This guy is a disciple of the Zhou Tian Cave. Jiang Zixio reminded him through telepathy. Although he's not the holy son of the Zhou Tian Cave, he's from the Zhou Tian Cave. We have to give him some face. What is my identity now? Jiang Chen asked. Jiang Zixio was stunned. I'm the representative of the Jiang clan. Does that mean I represent the entire Jiang clan? If I give face to this guy today, won't the entire Jiang clan give face to him? With his age, identity, and cultivation, do I need to give face to him? Hearing this, Jiang Zixio nodded to himself. The Jiang clan might not be famous for its fighting prowess, but it was infamous. Today, even if the patriarch of the Zhou Tian Cave came, Jiang Chen's current identity would be on par with the patriarch of the Zhou Tian Cave. Thinking of this, Jiang Zixio telepathically said again, I'm not afraid. I just feel that the Jiang clan should give others a feeling of amiability and friendliness. The Jiang clan is notorious for its infamy. What do you need these for? Jiang Chen teased. But we also need to make friends with some forces, Jiang Zixi muttered. However, Jiang Zixio was too lazy to say anything else. After all, Jiang Chun was the representative of the Jiang clan. Seeing him was like seeing the patriarch of the Jiang clan. Today, whatever Jiang Chen wanted to do, it was the same as what the Jiang clan wanted to do. Moreover, one of the patriarchs of the Jiang clan was already on his way here. So, what was there to be afraid of? Get out of my way. At this moment, Jiang Chen stared at the young man and said coldly, Don't think that just because you're from the Zhou Tian Cave that you can let me off the hook so easily. Today, even if the patriarchs of the Zhou Tian Cave were here, they would still be on equal footing with me. What's more, you're just a disciple of the Zhou Tian Cave. As soon as he said this, the young man from the Zhou Tian Cave's expression finally changed. He never thought that the young man in front of him would be able to say something like this. Could it be that he was really from some transcendent force? Recently, the Zhou Tian Cave has been wanting to take the Suzuki Valley as a subordinate force. As a disciple of the Zhou Tian Cave, and today's incident just so happened to happen, I naturally can't let the young master of the Suzuki Valley suffer, the young man said in a low voice. Today's incident, if I say it's over, then it's over. You think it's over just because you say it's over? Who do you think you are? A cold light flashed in Jiang Chen's eyes. The illusory image of a dragon and tiger appeared behind him. He scolded angrily. You have no right to interfere in my affairs. Get lost. Holy sh*T. Who the hell is this guy? How dare he talk to a disciple of the Zhou Tian Cave like that? I'm afraid he really is from some transcendent force. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he wouldn't dare to talk to Zhou Pu like that. Many people around them were shocked. When they looked at Jiang Chun, there was a hint of fear in their eyes. However, there were also many people who looked at him with a hint of mockery. That was because the Zhou Tian Cave was also a transcendent force. How dare you? At this moment, Zhou Pu's face was gloomy. He said, Today is the wedding of the young master of Zhou Prefecture. After the wedding, I'll have a good talk with you. You don't have to wait for the wedding. You can talk now. Jiang Chun said coldly. What do you want to talk about? You really don't want to give face to the Zhou Prefecture? Even if you don't want to give face to the Zhou Prefecture, you should at least give face to the Zhou Tian Cave, right? Zhou Pu's face was getting darker and darker, and his heart was burning with anger. Fellow Taoist Zhou Pu, this person is vicious and arrogant. He's even mixed up with the Jiang clan. He's not a good person. Today, I'll pay you back. Fellow Taoist Zhou Pu, please help me. At this moment, Mu Fengyin cried and tugged at Zhou Pu's sleeve. He said with an aggrieved face, The Suzuki Valley is about to become a subsidiary force of the Zhou Tian Cave. From now on, we'll be one family. If I lose today, the Suzuki Valley will lose face. Then won't the Zhou Tian Cave lose face as well? This, I know, Zhou Pu said softly. He also felt that Mu Fengyin's words made sense. He stood there in silence for 3 breaths. After thinking for a while, he pointed outside and said, The best way to talk between cultivators is to fight. We can do it now. Jiang Chun had long disliked Zhou Pu. When he heard what Zhou Pu said, he shouted angrily and threw a punch. "You still dare to fight here?" Zhou Pu exclaimed softly. He had planned to fight Jiang Chen outside the Zhou prefecture, but he didn't expect Jiang Chen to be so bold and unscrupulous. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.